the season, which would qualify the Cyclones for their second straight bowl game. The Cyclones rely on the leadership of quarterback Seneca Wallace and Doak Walker Award semifinalist Ennis Haywood. It'll be Nate Dwyer's goal to stop them today in Lawrence. Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler present Big 12 football this afternoon from Memorial Stadium in Lawrence, Kansas. It's the Kansas Jayhawks getting set to take on the 5-4 Iowa State Cyclones. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Drew Goodman. This season obviously has not gone the way the Jayhawks had hoped. They're 2-7. They've played the nation's toughest schedule. And just 2 weeks ago, they let their head coach go, Terry Allen. Tom Hayes takes over on an interim basis. And today they match up with an Iowa State team that went 9-3 last year. And with a win today becomes bowl eligible. It'll be the first time since the late 70s when Earl Bruce was coaching at Iowa State that they would go to back-to-back bowls. Let me bring in my partner, as always, Dave Lapham. And talking about Iowa State, in this conference, you're always going to play in the shadow if you're a quarterback of Eric Crouch. But you know what? Seneca Wallace is as fine a young quarterback going in the country right now.
The real deal, a total package. Very strong arm, extremely accurate, completing 63% on the season. Equally effective in pocket or on the move to his right or left. Can throw the ball with tremendous accuracy, but most dangerous when he decides to tuck it and run. Extreme open field elusiveness and quickness, as much as any back in Big 12, really. And that takes us to Ennis Haywood. Here's a kid that is a power runner, thrives on contact, finishes every run, lowers his pad level, and wears defenses down in the fourth quarter. Effective blocker, outstanding hands, doesn't fumble, and catches everything thrown to him. And I'll tell you, when he gets running, they do well.
Well, you see that he had 1,100-yard games. He does coming in. They're 11-0 when he goes over that century mark. Kansas has struggled the last 3 weeks. They've played some of the toughest teams in the country, really, the last 3 weeks. They need to make plays today offensively. Mario Kinsey's their quarterback. He's a redshirt freshman. He has the ability to make plays.
Well, he does. He has the lively arm. He has the jackhammer feet. And he's a guy, when the defense takes everything away, can still break, contain, and make something happen. But he's only completing 43% on the season. He's got a freshman record, 904 yards, but only 43% completion because nobody else has stepped up in the running game. They have to get the balance. They have to get another weapon to balance him, so they have a 1-2 punch just like Iowa State.
Well, it's an opportunity for Kansas to throw Iowa State off its bowl path. Pretty good defenders on display today. Matt Word, the linebacker for the Cyclones, their leading tackler, and Nate Dwyer, one of the better D tackles around. Kansas and Iowa State, come on back to Lawrence with us. College Football Saturday on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper makes the world taste better. By Citgo. Your neighborhood Citgo is proud to support today's athletes. Citgo, we know you. By Southwestern Bell, the official telecommunications company of the Big 12. And by Sonic Drive-Ins and your friends at Dr. Pepper. Potter's Lake on the campus of the University of Kansas here in Lawrence. This is the 81st get-together between Iowa State and Kansas, and the last 5 times they've played here in Lawrence, Kansas come away with the win. Let's check in with the third member of our crew, as always, Jim Knox. Knoxy?
All right, thanks, Drew. Just got through honoring the seniors here. Senior day in Lawrence, Kansas. I tell you what, one senior we're going to keep our eyes on today. This guy right here, 85, Roger Ross. Littlest guy in the field, 5'7", but he's going to make some big plays because right now he leads the team in receptions, also in punt returns, one of the best in the nation. Roger Ross looking to do it big today against the Iowa State Cyclones. You ready to go, Roger? All right, Jayhawks ready to go, Cyclones ready to go. Up next, the Dr. Pepper Big 12 Game of the Week. Iowa State against Kansas. The kickoff coming up.
Lawrence, Kansas, the spot today. Iowa State at 5-4. The Jayhawks 2-7. Iowa State won the toss, and they want the football. That makes sense. Iowa State has been very productive with the football for the most part this year. And they've done a good job on opening drives. They've scored close to 60% of the time on opening drives this year. The kickoff man is Johnny Beck. Jermaine Billups, number 6. Michael Wagner, number 4, back deep for the Cyclones. Glad you're along today in Lawrence. Here we go. And Wagner, 4 yards deep, is instructed to put a knee down. So Iowa State will begin with 80 yards of field in front of them. The singular starting offensive unit for Iowa State. There's Seneca Wallace. Look at that. 63% of his passes have been completed, and he's also a threat to run, but he fancies himself a passer first. Pretty good offensive line. White is enormous at 340 at right guard. Howard's having a terrific year at left tackle. And the people that will handle the football today, Lane Danielson, the fastest receiver. He can be a big play man. And Mike Banks is a very fine tight end. They'll go to Haywood on their inside zone, and he emerges into the secondary. He'll get 13 on the opening carry of the game before Jamari Bryant could bring him down in the secondary. And the defenders for Kansas, I think this is an underrated team, but they've been on the field too much this year. Dennis gets after the quarterback, as does Watkins. Of course, Dwyer is the leader of that defensive line. Banks Floodman, a true freshman, steps in for their leading tackler, Marcus Rogers, who has a high ankle sprain, can't go today. Davison, a good cover corner, and Bryant may be the fastest man on the team. Wallace out of the gun. And he has it spiked right back at him by Algie Atkinson, the senior backer from Skokie, Illinois.
He's had a great year for Kansas. He's got 7 tackles, or 7 sacks. And he's got 14 tackle for loss. Here he is as a rush end because it's a 4 wide receiver set with 1 back in the backfield. Little play fake. He doesn't fight at all. Gets airborne, knocks him to the ground. Looks like a power forward right there, an NBA power forward. And he runs like that. I mean, he's going to play on Sunday. There's no question. He'll get a shot as an outside linebacker in the NFL.
In fact, they have several guys on this defense that'll get a shot in the NFL. Here's Haywood on a stretch play, trying to get wide, and he cannot because Charlie Dennis came off his block. 51, made a nice play.
Iowa State, in the first play of the game, they went 3 wide receivers and 2 backs. Second play of the game, they went 4 wide receivers with a single back. So just like most offensive coordinators, Steve Loney giving different formations, different personnel groups to see how Kansas is going to line up defensively. In the last 2 snaps, Kansas has done a fine job. 3rd and long for Iowa State. Seneca Wallace has been outstanding on 3rd down, but this is a tough conversion.
Whitver and Danielson in the slot to the near side. Pressure coming on Wallace. This is where he's really dangerous. And he slips down at the 40-yard line, shy of the first down. Matt Jordan came up and made the play. So Kansas, after giving up an initial first down, does a nice job.
Well, the Astro play turf kind of assisted the tackle here. Look at the violent cuts that Seneca Wallace can make. I mean, he's like a slalom skier, gets on the edge of his skis, whoop, down the ski slides out from under him, and he's on the turf. This kid, though, can change directions in the open field. He's as elusive in the open field as any running back in the Big 12. He's fantastic.
Tony Yelk with pressure. He's in trouble. Maybe he's out of trouble. First down yardage for Yelk. This guy's a punter. What's he doing?
Wow.
Are you kidding me? The 13-yard line.
I'll tell you
Give
what.
him a number in the 30s.
He has run the football before because he made some people miss. And at the end of the run, when bodies started showing up around him, he protected the football exceptionally well. Kansas came to block the punt. They don't get the play done. Yelk makes the first guy miss. Up the middle, unbelievable. And he can't make the play because he's trying to block the punt. He goes airborne. That's McCoy. McCoy's airborne. Yelk doesn't punt it, pulls it down. Now he becomes a running back. And watch him protect the ball with 2 hands. Bodies come around. There he is, protecting it. You're not going to knock it free. That young man has lugged the pig at some point in his career.
Well, he lugged it for 48 yards there. Haywood dropped by Dennis. as he was trying to cut back. It's a loss of 1 or 2. That's one of the best runs by a punter I've ever seen.
Well, McCoy thinks he's going to make a big play as he sails by Yelk with tremendous presence. I mean, he keeps his composure and his calm, and he turns it up the football field. Once he breaks the line of scrimmage, he says, man, there's a lot of green pasture out here for me. And he takes it over half a football field. Outstanding change of field position. Could have been a big play for Kansas. Doesn't happen. Turns into a huge play for Iowa State.
Yeah, McCoy was going to have the block easily.
He saw golden goalposts.
Here's Wallace, an option, and he's going to get it to the 5-yard line. It'll set up 3rd down and a couple there, brought down by Jamari Bryant.
You know, I'll tell you, the ball security theory of this Iowa State football team is pervasive. Even the punter realized to wrap it with 2 hands. This football team does not fumble. Iowa State, the tailbacks have not fumbled all year long. In fact, the tailbacks, over a 54-game time frame, over 1,800 touches, have only lost the ball 3 times. Dan McCarney and his staff coaches it, and they execute it on game day. Ball security.
And there is ball security. Only Minnesota in the same class as Iowa State, as Ennis Haywood gets it inside the 1-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal there. Tony Yelk is not only the punter, he's the place kicker. He's a redshirt freshman. And Dave, not only the wherewithal to bring the ball back down, but then he had to make a very good cut to find the sideline. Then he gets the 1st down, and he thinks he's Ennis Haywood.
Yeah, I mean, he made 2 or 3 very, very fine cuts during that run.
Haywood, and Ennis is going to get stopped maybe shy of the line of scrimmage.
I tell you, Iowa State may want to think about changing their footwear, Drew. They're slip sliding around. Seneca Wallace has slipped. That time you saw Ennis Haywood slip as he tried to surge toward the line of scrimmage. If they've brought another option for footwear, they should think about it, because I don't think they've made the adjustment to this Astro Play turf at Kansas yet.
And a good point, because yesterday they did their walkthrough in Ames,
right,
and they stayed about 30 miles away from here in Overland Park. They did not walk through on this field, and that's usually where you get a feel the day before.
Their feet are going out from under them.
Wallace, Haywood to the corner. Bryant can't bring him down. Touchdown, Iowa State.
Well, they had the best guy trying to match up with that pitch. Jamari Bryant is the fastest guy on the Kansas football team, but Haywood had the angle, and he got inside the pylon.
Well, Iowa State has now scored on 6 of their 10 opening drives this season. They end up going 80 yards. Obviously, the huge play was it's not a fake punt. It was just a run by your punter when the punt was going to be blocked.
It was tremendous awareness by Yelk, because McCoy is there to block it. He sees it, pulls it down, and then makes people miss. He makes the first big play of the football game, running the football, the punter Yelk.
And here is Yelk again to add the extra point. 7-0, Iowa State, thanks to the punter slash place kicker, Tony Yelk.
That's an aware young man right there.
Very big football game for Iowa State today, leading 7-0. With a win, they go to 6-4. They become bowl eligible. Their only remaining regular season game next week at home against their arch rival, the University of Iowa, who they've defeated 3 straight years.
And they think it might be an Independence Bowl opportunity. LSU against Iowa State. The Independence Bowl has seen them play 4 times this year.
Byron Gassaway from the 6.
Oh,
and he spilled at the 21-yard line. That's Joe Woodley flying down on special teams, a sophomore from West Des Moines.
Starting fullback, made the play.
Son of Mike Woodley, who's offensive assistant coach, the starting offensive unit for the Jayhawks. Mario Kinsey is a redshirt freshman from Waco, Texas. And up front, Sands and Hartwig have had nice years, the 2 tackles. And of the skill guys, Reggie Duncan's got to carry it some. Pretty good wide receivers, even without Harrison Hill, who went down against UCLA earlier this year. And hopefully will be back next year with a 6th year of eligibility. And Duncan trying to cut it back is dropped in the backfield. Tyson Smith makes the play, and that'll be a loss of 4 or 5. Defensively for Iowa State, they've given up 40+ the last 2 weeks to good teams. They lost to Colorado and also Kansas State. Karstens has really come on, done a nice job. Matt Word, their leading tackler in the middle. Lloyd has had a very good year, and Eilers is a tough guy. Adam Runk, Mark Timmons, the 2 safeties. Atif Austin, the best cover man in the secondary. Kinsey on a roll, and he's dropped at the 10-yard line. It's Word, the Mike linebacker, the 230-pounder from Miami, Florida.
I'll tell you, my word, that's not the way that Kansas wanted to start this football game off. Back-to-back tackle for loss. Now they're looking at about a 3rd and 20. Very, very tough conversion, and Kansas has struggled on 3rd down all year long, only converting 24% of the time. This is a very, very low conversion opportunity right now.
Yeah, the playbook is real thin on 3rd and 20. They need the 32-yard line. And Kinsey to Word, broken up. Is it picked on the deflection? They say incomplete, as Anthony Forrest thought he got the deflection.
You know, with both of these mobile quarterbacks, Drew, you need a spy. Watch right here. Watch DeAndre Phillips, who's the dime guy. Watch him spy the quarterback. Look, he's mirroring his every move. Spying, spying. If Kinsey tucked it and ran, he was the guy that was the shadow. So they took their dime cover guy and said, you're responsible for Kinsey. Wherever he goes, you're sure to follow just like the shadow.
Chris Tyrell to punt, and this is very returnable if Wagner can get near it, but it's going to roll up the sideline, so it's going to work very nicely for Kansas inside the 30-yard line. That's a punt of 59 yards for Tyrell.
What are you doing?
Come on. Who are you guys? Come on, let me go.
You got the wrong guy.
Think this is harsh? Well, it's what you do to your car every day. All that stop-and-go driving is torture on your engine. But Pennzoil with Pure Base is formulated to protect against the harshness of all that stopping and starting. We can't change the way you have to drive, but we can protect you from it. Stop-and-go protection from Pennzoil.
This morning, a great city woke up to a new day.
Millions of people crowded its streets, businesses, theaters, restaurants, and stadiums.
And one simple phrase was repeated over and over again.
I love New York.
I love New York.
I love New York.
I love New York. I love New York. We love New York.
Now, more than ever.
Come, see New York united in its finest hour.
And you'll say it too. I love New York.
Drew Goodman, Dave Lapham, and Jim Knox from Lawrence, Kansas. 7-0, the Cyclones lead. They're backed up even further because there was a flag down, a personal foul on the punt. So they'll start at their own 15-yard line. There's Ennis Haywood. Single setback. Last year he led the Big 12 in rushing. He comes into this game number 3 in the conference.
Still averaging over 100 yards a game, though. 101 yards a game.
They'll throw it to Danielson, and Danielson very quick, gets 8 yards on first down before he's bumped out by Carl Ivey. And let's take a look at the Cyclones game plan. David?
He twisted an ankle. Danielson did on the sideline. He's limping badly, but game plan established. Ennis Haywood. Haywood is they're 11-0 when he rushes for 100 yards, and Kansas is giving up 5 yards a game. Ball security. Iowa State does not fumble. They've only got 12 giveaways all season long. Best in the conference, tied for 7th best in the country. On third down, they're converting 47%. Kansas 24%. They have to win on third down. Danielson's hurt. Danielson's limping around that sideline, the #1 wide receiver for Iowa State.
They'll run a bit of an ISO, and Algie Atkinson and Leo Etienne combine to bring down the ball carrier, Ennis Haywood.
Looked to me like Danielson on the sideline almost got tied up in the chain gang over there as he plants on this Astro play turf, plants that left ankle, and he's getting dragged down as he plants and gets rolled up. Ivy rolls up over that left ankle. You could see it just turn. He turned it over, and that looks like a serious ankle sprain possibly. 3rd and short. Haywood didn't get much, but he got enough. Charlie Dennis involved in the tackle for the 3rd time already in this football game. Dennis, a junior from Derby, Kansas. Ennis Haywood's a little bigger, Dave, than he was last year, about 220. 220, and I think he'll probably get a little bit bigger than he is right now to play in the NFL. I think they look at him as a fullback type body, get him up to 225, 230, could be a 3rd down back, you know, catch the football out of the backfield and be a good guy in blitz pickup. No question about his toughness. They'll fake the end around and throw it in the flat to Banks, and it was low, and Travis Watkins was right around the football also. Danielson, you see them looking at that left ankle, and here's what happened. Look at the left, watch the left ankle. Right there, Ivy rolls over on that ankle. Ooh, boy, I'll tell you what, for him to not have a severe sprain, he's Gumby. He has to be tremendously flexible because it rolled over and Ivy's body fell on it at the same time. So there's definitely a stretch of the old ligaments there. Well, he's young. He's a sophomore. You heal quickly when you're that age. You're flexible too. Yeah. Better opening for Haywood. He'll get to the 30-yard line. Give him 4. Banks Floodman, number 5, a true freshman involved in the tackle as we take a look at the University of Kansas game plan this day. Well, the first thing they want to do is establish themselves defensively in the red zone. 47 trips. They've only given up 15 touchdowns, 30% touchdowns in the red zone. Unbelievable. They want to shadow Seneca Wallace. Tell you what, you have to put a spy on him or he'll kill you. And 21's the magic number. When they scored 21 points, they've won 13 of the last 15 games. They got to get to that number to be competitive in this one. 3rd and 6 for the Cyclones. Complete, beautiful throw, great catch. 26, Jack Whitver. Man, I'll tell you what, decent coverage by Davison, but what a touch pass by Seneca Wallace. I mean, that ball he couldn't do it any better if he walked down the field and dropped it in his lap. Timing pattern, gets rid of the ball quickly, and a perfect throw into cover 2. Safety coming over the top to help Davison. He throws into that double coverage. Safety can't get there quickly enough because he got rid of the ball so quickly. Outstanding ball down the field by Seneca Wallace. Big time. Dave, great description. He could not have handed it to him any finer than he did. Here's a delay, and on the draw, Ennis Haywood scrambles inside the 35 to the 33. Well, this is why everyone is impressed with Seneca Wallace. You know, R.C. Slocum said he's not so sure that this isn't the best all-around quarterback in the Big 12. Well, look at the timing and the touch. The ball's out of there quickly. Safety has no shot. Look, he's trying, but no shot to get there in time. That is just, I can't tell you how accurate a throw that is. That's why this young man's completing 63% of his passes. He's got the downfield touch. He can hit every quadrant of the football field accurately. In pocket, out of pocket, doesn't matter. They counter with Haywood, and Leo Etienne runs into him after a couple of yards. Good stick by Etienne. 3rd down and short, and we visit with Jim Knox. Knoxy.
Drew, check it out right now. Retaping Lane Danielson's left ankle, a sprained ankle. That's the diagnosis. They're going to retape, see how he feels. Looks like he'll be back in. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if they tape it and then spat it, put the shoe on and tape it again, and almost make as much of a cast as you possibly can. Try to immobilize that left ankle as much as possible. Limit the range of motion. When you do an ankle, they'll spat it. They'll spat that shoe. You watch. Yeah, and then you put the shoe back on. Tape over that. Doesn't feel too good.
3rd and short. Wallace on a roll, throwing backside. Davison had great coverage on Montgomery. That's Jamal Montgomery. And is it 4-down territory for Iowa State, Dave?
I think it is. I think, you know, they've struggled in one area in particular is in the place kicking game, field goals. 7 of 16 on the season. And they're 3 of 11 from 30 to 49 yards. So this has got some range to it. And I think Dan McCarney is going to say, look, you know, this has not been our best area. You don't want to punt and try to play that field position game. If it goes in the end zone, you only pick up 11 yards.
Yep.
You're up 7-0, go for it, and he is.
They'll go heavy formation here. 3 tight ends and a fullback. 4th down and 1.5 yards. Wallace throwing for Banks. He couldn't get there. Good coverage by the free safety, Jamari Bryant. So instead of running on 3rd and 4th down in a short yardage situation, Steve Loney, the offensive coordinator, tries to get the touchdown. And they give up the football instead.
I'll tell you what, Seneca Wallace wanted to go short. Little play action fake. Hayward to freeze the linebackers. And he's got a personal protector. The short pass is taken away. He has to go down the football field. I would have preferred to him tuck it and run because it was very short yardage. Even though he gave 4 yards away from the line of scrimmage, I think he could have made it with his feet. But he fashions himself as a passer first and wanted the big play.
Reggie Duncan on an ISO. Not much. 18, Mark Timmons, the diminutive free safety, was involved near the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd down and 8 or 9.
There's the interim head coach here at Kansas, Tom Hayes, defensive coordinator. He's got a nice pedigree, I'll tell you. Defensive coordinator at UCLA, and he coached the secondary at the Washington Redskins prior to coming here to Kansas. And I like him. I think he understands football big time.
I agree with you. Coming off the edge is Jeremy Lloyd, and that's another short gain. You know what Tom Hayes is? In addition to a guy with a long resume, he's a straight shooter.
Yeah.
And I think if you're a player, and you would know this, Dave, better than anybody, you appreciate that, don't you?
No doubt about it. You don't want to have a coach stand up there and give you a bunch of double time. You want a guy that, you know, you hate to have a guy tell you one thing and tell the media and alumni something else totally different. He's on the same page with everybody, and players respect that.
Blitz coming on 3rd and 6. Kinsey dropped at the 22-yard line. It's Lloyd again. The junior college transfer from Tyler Junior College.
The old coverage sack right there. Kinsey tried to pull the trigger. Coverage was too good, pulled it down. Once he pulled it down, it was over. And the sack was accomplished because on time, when he wanted to throw it, there was nobody to throw it to, and he had to eat the football.
2nd sack of the year for Lloyd.
You know, Drew, Iowa State's got more to play for than Kansas, and it's showing up here early. They got a bowl bid opportunity in the offing here.
Terrell, another good punt, driving Wagner to the 24. And Wagner across the 45-yard line. Punt of 53, return of 21. We'll be back after a word from Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. From Sacramento, he began his career at Oregon State. This year in Waco against Baylor. How good was he?
18 in a row to a Big 12 record. You see he can make every throw. The feathery touchdown the football field, and then he can throw the rifle if he needs to and beeline it in there. Throwing to his left is no problem. He's got all the touches. Look at this RPMs on that. When he has to make the hard throw, he does. When he has to make the touch throw, he does. He makes it in pocket, makes it out of pocket 63% of the time successfully. He is the real deal.
Actually, that game was in Ames, but he set a Big 12 record, 22 of 24. This is Michael Wagner picking up 4 or 5. Leo Etienne making the tackle, number 6. Iowa State very deep at running back. They have Haywood and then Wagner, also Jermaine Billups and Hiawatha Rutland.
Got an injured Kansas player at the 47, 48-yard line on his backside. Getting some attention, medical attention right now. And that's Charlie Dennis, the defensive end, that's in trouble right now.
And while they work on Charlie Dennis, the junior from Derby, Kansas, we will pay a visit to Jim Knox again. Jim?
Drew, early on, Iowa State players, a little problem with the fielding as far as keeping their footing here on this playing surface. They are going with the screw-in cleats. So far, not good. If the troubles continue, they will go with the molded cleat. They will change at halftime. Now, a lot of the players also saying when they cut to the left, when they run to the left, that's when they slip down because they feel the playing surface lays to the left. If this gets back to Coach McCarney, may see a lot more plays to the right. Drew?
I'll tell you what, Noxie, give me that shoe you threw away. That thing looked like it was brand new.
Yeah.
You just tossed that 7-stud cleat away. Yeah. No, the 7-stud. Yeah, you just threw that.
That one?
I'll tell you, what's that? Those look, that's Lyman right. That's about a size 14. I'm thinking.
Not Dave.
Lappy, you couldn't get your big toe in
That's a big old shoe.
That's wide receiver material. This is your material.
There we
That's
go.
about 15.
There we go. There we go. That's my ped. That's my ped right there.
You got some boats, Dave.
I got the 15s.
Wagner. And he lowers his pad level across the 50 to the 49-yard line, and it'll set up third down and about 4. Algie Atkinson with the tackle.
What this does with Wagner coming in the game, Hayward is the contact back, thrives on contact. And then you bring in Wagner, who's the quicks, you know, the make you miss guys. So they have a nice change of pace going in their backfield. Iowa State, a stable of tailbacks. It's become a semi-tailback university. Started with the Davis brothers.
And good news, Lane Danielson in the slot to the near side on third down and 4. Back out there with the ankle turn. They'll go a delay and a broken tackle initially by Wagner, but he scrambles short of a first down. You got to love it.
He slipped. He slipped again. The contact was a factor. Then when he went to regather himself, his foot went out from under him.
What I was referencing was those two big hogs getting after each other about 10 seconds after the whistle.
Yeah, and that was Marcel Howard was one of them, and he is a guy that is physical and likes to finish. Maybe not the most athletic in the world, not a great knee bender, but here's another great running back at the punter position.
Tony Yelk. Roger Ross is going to watch this sail the other direction over his head, and it gets in the end zone. And it'll come out to the 20-yard line. It's a punt of 48 yards by Yelk, who has a 48-yard run in this game.
And that's only the third time all year long that he's kicked the punt into the end zone for a touchback. He's got 11 punts inside the 20-yard line and only 3 touchbacks. That's a nice ratio.
Well, the total yardage in this game, 141 to -19. The last week, Kansas played the University of Texas. They lost 59-zip, and they had 67 yards to 606. Kinsey a couple of yards, and then Willie Judd plays rodeo with them.
Well, one thing Kansas wanted to do, Drew, was to get off the mark offensively and establish some confidence. Here's an offense that's rushing the football only 2.7 yards per play for the season. So the running game has been shut down, putting too much pressure on the quarterback position. And as a team, they're completing 44% of their passes on the year because they can't get their running game established and they have to throw too much.
And here on second down, Dave, to illustrate that point, they have to go out of the gun. But they will run it on a draw. And Kinsey, you see how athletic he is. He'll get across the 25 to the 27 or 28. Jeremy Lloyd makes the tackle, and a more manageable third down when we come back for the second quarter.
Well, he made Justin Eiler's miss, Drew, right in the hole. Kinsey just made him miss.
He has that ability. The first quarter done in Lawrence, and Iowa State hoping for their 6th win and to become bowl eligible. They're up a touchdown. Back in Lawrence, Kansas with Dave Lapham. I'm Drew Goodman. Seneca Wallace as advertised.
I'll tell you, I was anxious to see this kid play, and I'm not the least bit disappointed. He can make every throw and can make it accurately, and he has got those quick feet, like Kinsey.
And on third down, Kinsey is close to a first down, but I think they're going to mark him about a foot shy. And it's your own 29.5 in a 7-0 football game. I imagine Tom Hayes will have to punt, but you never know. When you're 2-7, you might go.
Yeah, and I think you throw caution to the wind to an extent. But boy, if you don't get it, now you're down 14-0. That's what hurt him at Texas. You get down 21-0 in the first quarter and never recovered. The fans aren't going to like this, but I'll tell you what, if it doesn't work out and Iowa State gets that short field and goes up 14-0, all the air comes out of the Kansas balloon. I don't disagree with this call. You know, I mean, it's easy to say, what do they have? They have nothing to lose, everything to gain, but still, they're only down a score in this football game.
Michael Wagner back at his own 26.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness. What a pop by Matt Jordan.
That wasn't a halo violation. That was a halo destruction. And he got the flag on it because he was within that 2-yard area. But the rest of the football game now, Iowa State will be thinking about that every time they return the punt. Are they going to call halo violation or more? Are they going to call personal foul? Dan McCarney out on the football field saying that's more than a halo violation. That should be a personal foul. But boy, that's football to me. I mean, Jordan just did a job.
Hey, Dave, you're absolutely right. Dan McCarney, and we like him a lot.
Right.
This is a tough guy. He's done a great job in Ames, Iowa. But he'd be the first guy to tell you.
The opportunity to catch the kick on the kicking team. 5-yard penalty, non-contact foul.
I think he'll be the first guy to tell you after the heat of the battle that was an enormous stick.
That is a training reel hit right there. And this is a courageous return, man, because he knew it was coming, and he just got the boom lowered on him. That's our man Wagner. And Jordan, man, Michael Jordan, MJ doesn't hit like that, but this Jordan brought the wood. Unbelievable lick. And you know what? That's probably in his mind the best 5 yards that he ever spent. Because, you know, there's no doubt. You have to be crazy not to think that it might happen again. They've set a tempo on Wagner. Every time he fields a punt now, he's going to be thinking, where's Jordan?
That was an enormous shot. 38-yard line for Iowa State. Haywood back in. Charlie Dennis also back in there after being helped off the field last series at about 4 yards. One of the things that's really hurt Kansas, Dave, we saw them earlier against UCLA, and they hung in there for more than a half against a very talented Bruin team. I think their defense is pretty sound, but they play far too many snaps. Not an average of 11 more per game than their opponent.
Well, before this particular series, Kansas had 8 snaps and Iowa State had 23. Almost a 3-to-1 ratio. And you can't survive that way.
Haywood again for maybe a yard. And let's
got a little late flag. Got a late flag. There's a little extracurricular going on. The referee threw the flag. I think Kansas is going to be called for unsportsmanlike.
Personal foul on the defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's a loss of poise right there. Personal foul after the play in the backfield. A late little shot on the quarterback, I believe, is going to cost the Kansas defense 15 yards, and Tom Hayes isn't going to like that. His defense is unraveling a little bit emotionally.
Well, they would have had a 3rd and 3. Instead, it's going to be a 1st and 10 at the Kansas 39. And let's quickly get it down to Jim Knox. Jim?
Drew, Charlie Dennis, you saw him back in the game, playing right now with a bruised quad muscle. A little tight, the left thigh muscle, but he's ready to go back in.
The old Charlie horse, guys. You know, you take that helmet right on the thigh. Even though you wear a pad on the thigh, it doesn't disperse all that contact.
Knock in motion. Haywood downhill on 1st down into the secondary for 7. And when he gets his shoulder pads square and you're a defensive back coming up, he's not the first guy you want to see.
Well, it's the old inside zone, and everybody's area blocking inside. Watch the backside cutoff. The play is designed to go right, but they get the blocks down on the backside, and Haywood backdoors it, finds a lane. All you need is one cutoff block and a back with vision, and they're going to make big yards just like he did. That's a nice 1st down carry of 7+ yards.
Haywood's touched it a bunch already. And Haywood will have the 1st down to the 28-yard line. Nate Dwyer defensively making the tackle.
You know, you look at this Kansas defensive football team. They are giving up 5 yards a carry. And the Iowa State coaching staff wanted to establish Haywood in the running game. As we mentioned a couple of times already, When he goes 100 or more yards, they're undefeated. They're 11-0. And Seneca Wallace, when Haywood rushes for 100 yards, with his ability to throw accurately, it becomes an easy pitch and catch game. Much easier to throw the football. There are bigger holes to throw downfield when you got a running back creasing the defense.
They pitch it to Campbell, and Campbell hurdles out of bounds after about a yard. Next week, our Big 12 telecast will follow the Cyclones back to Ames for an intra-state rivalry game against the Iowa Hawkeyes out of the Big 10, and they'll be playing for the famed Cy-Hawk Trophy. Join us at 12:30 in the East, 9:30 out West. Iowa State has knocked off Iowa 3 years in a row, 24-14 last year in Iowa City.
That Dan McCarney got his start with Hayden Fry at Iowa. He loves beating the in-state rival like that.
In fact, he and Tom Hayes were both at Iowa together in the late 70s. Wallace keeps to the 20, and both are graduates of the University of Iowa, and they're very good friends. Tom Hayes was a defensive back for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
On that particular play, Drew, Seneca Wallace is watching the backside defensive end only. And all he's doing is if that backside defensive end closes, he's keeping the football. And he's making him pay. That time the backside defensive end crashed Charlie Dennis. And he lost containing, and he made him pay.
Two tights. Haywood will have a first down at the 16-yard line. Dan McCarney is a former offensive lineman at Iowa. You're a former offensive lineman. And he likes to line up, and if he can, be physical, and that's what they're doing at Kansas right now.
Well, he's established a tradition of tailbacks, and it starts with the guys up front. He's got a 1,000-yard rusher. He's had it for 6 years. This will be the 7th year that he's had a 1,000-yard rusher. Coming into the game, Haywood needed 87 yards for 1,000 yards for the second straight season at Iowa State, and that's what Dan McCarney wants. He's got 53 right now, Haywood.
Haywood to the 6-yard line.
Make it about 63.
Yeah, this is just a methodical drive by Iowa State, all on the ground. And Wisconsin this year, with Davis going over 1,000 yards coming into this afternoon, 9 straight years with a 1,000-yard back. Iowa State will go to 7, and the University of Texas will get to 7.
Yep.
Of course, the Big 12's always been a running conference.
As is the Big 10. Not a surprise Wisconsin up there, but you're right. The Big 12 dominates on the ground.
Of course, McCarney was at Wisconsin with Barry Alvarez before taking this job. Haywood sees end zone, gets to the end zone. Second touchdown of the day for Ennis Haywood. It's 13-0.
Nice blocking on the backside. Big Lorenzo White did a good job of washing his guy away, and Ennis Haywood with great vision. The play was designed to go off the left side of the offensive line. He just bent it back, cut back behind the right side to pay dirt. He's now got 11 rushing touchdowns on the season, had 9 coming in, chalked up 2 more. And there's one of the big boys up front, Marcel Howard. This guy's a very, very bright young man. Biology major specializing in genetics.
He's got good genetics.
Yeah.
Extra point by Yelk is true. 10:42 to go in the second quarter. Iowa State thinking about spending their holidays somewhere warm, leading by 2 scores. The Chi Omega Fountain here on the campus of the University of Kansas in Lawrence. Beautiful afternoon. We've had great weather all fall, Dave.
Sure have, boy. You can't complain about what Mother Nature's provided this football season at all.
Yelk will kick it off, 14-0 Iowa State. Gassaway number 2, Termaine Fulton number 9 back deep, and Gassaway 2 yards deep will remain in the end zone. Well, Kansas, that's the first I'll tell you about Kansas in a moment. First, let's look at the touchdown again by Iowa State.
Watch the cutback. It's designed to go left. He's going to cut it back. Backside blocking. Look at big Lorenzo White. Wash his guy, number 76 in that white jersey. Wash his guy to the ground. When you get a pancake block in the red zone. That's good in the running game. And Haywood saw Lorenzo White take his guy down to the turf and cut back right behind him for his second rushing touchdown of the afternoon.
I believe all 9 plays were on the ground. Starting to say Kansas needs a first down just to get in plus yardage in the game. They're at -10 for total offense. Kinsey throwing, first down to Roger Ross at the 34-yard line. And if Kinsey's not a great athlete, he doesn't come close to getting that off.
Well, I'll tell you who's going to agree with you is Willie Judd. Because Willie Judd has him in space. Watch out here in space as Kinsey naked bootleg. Here comes Willie Judd. There's Willie. And uh-oh, Kinsey's too quick, too nimble, too elusive. And with Judd hanging on him, is still got enough strength in that right arm to throw a strike down the football field to Roger Ross. That's a great play by an athletic quarterback.
Ross, their leading receiver, has 33 catches on the year. Kinsey tried to break it back on the option, and Jordan Karstens grabbed him, the 290-pound sophomore.
You know, but he started out, Drew, as a walk-on at Iowa State at 228 pounds. He was a defensive tackle wannabe. He has a huge heart. I mean, a massive heart in the middle of that chest, but he didn't have the body to go with it. And through good training table and good weight room, he's now 290 pounds. He's put on 60-plus pounds, and he's very, very solid, consistent performer.
In the flat, this is Derek Mills, and he's going to have a first down. They have 2 little guys that naturally are very quick. Roger Ross and Derek Mills, both 5'7", and they're 1 and 2 on the team in receptions, or 1 and 3, I should say.
And this is like a long lateral. This is just getting the ball out on the perimeter, out in space, and making Iowa State make a tackle in space. One receiver blocks for another down the football field. It's like a wide receiver screen. Dangerously close to a face mask was Johnny Smith III right there, getting up near the headgear.
Here's a draw to Duncan. Good lead block. Reggie Duncan running over people. He ran through Mark Timmons. 12 yards on the advance for Duncan, and now Kansas finally has something going on offense.
Well, Reggie Duncan is one of those running backs that's got a low center of gravity. 5'9", well over 200 pounds. It's like trying to tackle a quadricep and a pectoral. Very little hitting surface right there. And he just runs right through people. Benches over 400, squats over 600. Very, very powerful package on a short frame.
Kinsey with time toward Fulton, and is it intercepted?
Yeah.
It was picked off by Timmons.
And that's Kinsey's problem, is inconsistency, just throwing the thing up for grabs. That now is his 4th interception in the last 3 weeks, and that has Rip Shearer pulling his hair out of his head by the roots. Got to have consistency. 4th interception in 3 weeks, just throwing him down the middle of the football field. No advantage for his receiver. Defensive back just sitting back there, could have fair caught the football. Timmons says thank you very much. Well, that was close to a trap, though. They felt Simmons got his hands underneath the football and secured it.
Second pick of the year for Mark Timmons. And Iowa State takes over, up 14-0 from their own 5. And even though Kansas moved it, again, their defense is back out on the field, Dave.
Right, and you saw the graphic flash up there real quickly. That's the 13th interception for Kansas State, the most they've had since 1983. Now they are for Iowa State, I should say. The most they've had since 1983. Iowa State's now got 13 interceptions defensively.
Haywood, look at him go. And it's Haywood showing some speed to the 46 before Carl Ivey could catch him. A pickup of 36 yards.
Well, I mentioned how he thrives on contact. He's a power runner that gets yards after contact. Watch Banks Floodman. Watch him hit it up the middle, and Banks Floodman is there to make a play on him, and he just ricochets right off of Banks Floodman and spins out, and he's off to the races for a bunch of yards after first contact.
And Dave,
he now has his 1,000 yards, right?
And not only does he have his 1,000 yards, he's got his 100 yards. 109 on 20 carries already. with 8:39 to go in the second quarter.
Powerful running back right there.
Second straight 1,000-yard campaign. Jermaine Billups has stepped in. And there's the footwear again. Let's update our Iowa State legacy at running back.
Well, it started with the Davis brothers, Drew. And both of the Davis brothers are doing a good job up in Canada. Troy Davis is playing for the Grey Cup up in Hamilton. Darren's with Saskatchewan. And now Ennis Haywood, he'll be in the NFL as well. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Ennis Haywood, I'm thinking third, fourth round type selection for somebody in the National Football League.
They've had some good backs in the past. Blaze Bryant.
Yep.
Remember Dwayne Crutchfield?
Sure.
Billups, nowhere to go. Jamari Bryant, number 4, led the charge. The free safety, a senior from Phoenix. This should have been the final home game for Kansas this year, but because of the attacks on America on 9/11, they will play Wyoming at home next week. Iowa State will play at home against Iowa, as we talked about earlier. Third down and 9 for the Cyclones. They need the 44-yard line of Kansas. Wallace out of the shotgun with Michael Wagner to his right. KU shows blitz. They come with it. Wagner picks it up. Here's the post route. Ooh, and just over the head of Craig Campbell.
Well, Seneca Wallace a little bit more underneath that football, and he's got the big play. Because he's accurate with it. Up the top, the route's being run. It's a little skinny post. Seneca Wallace a little bit too much distance, not quite enough air. Can't quite run the thing down as Craig Campbell.
Yelko punt. Ross from the 16 on the move to the 25, maybe 26-yard line.
Well, there's a late hit. They're going to catch Kansas for a hit after the play. Leo Bookman got a cheapie in, and now there's another flag. Boy, there's laundry all over. They just moved the first one. There's a late hit by Kansas, in my eyes anyway. I think they're going to get Leo Bookman.
John Bible will tell us about it.
The play was over. Then there was a personal foul on the receiving team.
Yep.
15 yards from the dead ball spot. First down.
Second time today we've had a personal foul against Kansas. 14-0 Iowa State. We'll be back after a word from Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler.
I won a Nintendo GameCube with Luigi's Mansion, Wave Race Blue Storm, and Super Smash Bros. Melee, and Pikmin.
This holiday season, let Dr. Pepper play Santa by giving away thousands of incredible new Nintendo GameCubes. Look on specially marked packages for your chance to win instantly.
I know what this is.
Quit messing around. Let's go.
The Nintendo GameCube giveaway, only from Dr. Pepper.
The over 3,300 choice hotels in the U.S. and the Caribbean just want to thank everyone for traveling again and getting back to experiencing the power of being there.
A special announcement from the American Property Network. You can buy cars for as low as $29 per month. Choose from thousands of cars repossessed and seized by the U.S. Marshal, IRS, FBI, and private organizations. Call 1-800-300-4768. Foreclosed homes and distressed properties are selling for as low as $199 per month. Call 1-800-300-4768. For current auction listings, call 1-800-300-4768. Call toll-free.
14-0 Iowa State. Mario Kinsey is on the bench right now. That's by design. They play two quarterbacks. Zach Dyer's a sophomore, 6'3", 205 pounds. Also a very good athlete. He's from Olathe. And a new tailback in the game, Marshall Childs. He's a true freshman from El Reno, Oklahoma. And he takes the football, and he breaks one tackle and gets to the 16-yard line.
What they like about Dyer is he gives some stability at the quarterback position, maybe a little bit more leadership, understanding. Kinsey, extremely athletic but inconsistent. but you see he was only completing 48% of his passes as well. That's because when there's no running game, when you're averaging 2.7 a rush coming into today's game and less than that today, too much pressure on the old quarterback.
They had a drive going last time, but then the pick ended things. Dyer will throw underneath, popped up in the air. Lost the intended target. Mark Timmons almost had his second pick. Atif Austin, 21, with the coverage for Iowa State.
Well, Drew, Kansas has got tough field position. They're at the 13-yard or 16-yard line right now on third down because of this. Watch Bookman right here. The play is over, comes in late. Illegal block, hits him from behind in late. So he got a nice shot in there, but it was illegal, and Leo Bookman cost his team field position. The average drive start has been tough for Kansas all year.
On third down, over the head of Childs, and it'll be 3 and out for the University of Kansas. The last 3 ball games, now albeit it's come against Kansas State, Nebraska, and Texas. They've been outscored 150 to 13.
But you know, and a lot of that, Drew, is 3 and outs as you described. For the season, they were 3 and out offensively 48% of the time. 1 every 2 possessions almost coming into today. And I think they're higher percentage than that today. They've been 1, 2, 3 and out a bunch. No consistency yet offensively. Uh-oh.
Oh, this is a foul ball.
Yeah, rough snap.
And Terrell missed the football almost. Goes out of bounds at the plus 38-yard line. A punt of just 22 yards for the redshirt freshman from Liberty, Missouri.
Started with a bad snap. He recovered, but not well enough.
Big 12 college football is brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper makes the world taste better. And by Comfort Inns. It's more than a room, it's comfort.
That's pretty, isn't it? If you're an artist, you like that look right there. The leaves changing colors a little bit, Drew, you know.
I enjoy it, and I'm not an artist. I can't draw to save my life.
I can draw one thing, Fred Flintstone, that's it.
I've seen your Fred Flintstone. Seneca Wallace, deep ball, man out there. Dropped by Campbell. He was battling with Davison, and we also have a flag down, I believe. Maybe we don't. Maybe it was picked up.
Davison's injured. Davison up and limping off the field. He's getting off the field under his own power, but he's grabbing that hamstring high. That's as high as you can pull a hamstring. Left leg. The higher the pull, the tougher the injury. And his is up there by the buttocks, and that's high. Can't get much higher than that.
And Dave, he's a guy that could play on Sunday also, a senior from Detroit.
Nice blitz pickup. Seneca Wallace gets rid of the football. He does have a nice deep ball. He gives his receiver an opportunity, just can't quite control it. You saw Davison tangle his feet up with the receiver, Campbell. And when those feet tangled up, I think that's when Davison blew the hamstring.
Quincy Rose in the game at a corner. Jamal Montgomery across the 30 to the 26-yard line, a first down. You can tell he can run.
Well, that's a rush because it was a backward pass. So that goes into the books as a running play. And watch the wide receivers block for each other. Down the football field they go. It's like a wide receiver screen. Nice, sustain. Now to the next level. Oh, got off of that block a little bit, but enough for the first down. They're helping each other out. 3 receiver package, 2 blocking for 1.
Haywood, as the pile moves about 5 yards. Banks Floodman will get up last, number 5. True freshman from Wichita. They're going to have to put some weight on number 5. They like how he moves, but if he's going to play Mike linebacker, 205 pounds in the Big 12, that's tough.
Yeah, it is. It's like a, like a safety type body at middle linebacker, but he came into the Texas game and responded to an adverse environment. He had 11 tackles, 8 of them solo. When Marcus Rogers, the great inside middle linebacker with a high ankle sprain, went down, never to come back early.
2 tights, inside zone. Nice move by Haywood. Another first down to the 13-yard line. Iowa State up by 2 touchdowns. Haywood owns both touchdowns, and he's moving up the career rushing yardage list in Ames.
I'll tell you, he has extended the great tradition of running backs. Troy Davis and Darren Davis, you can't get much better than those two guys from a productivity standpoint at Iowa State, but Haywood is sustaining it, and they have a stable of backs to pick up where he's going to leave off when he graduates and goes to the National Football League.
Here comes Ennis again. There goes Ennis. Touchdown, Iowa State.
Boy, Kansas isn't tackling anybody anymore. There's no popping going on the football field. Tom Hayes is, I'm sure, upset and distraught about it. His defense just isn't laying the leather anymore.
What Vince Lombardi say? There's a whole lot of grabbing going on out there.
Yeah, exactly. There's no helmet across the bow. There's a lot of reaching going on. And there's no shoulder into the body and taking people to the ground. A lot of arm tackling, and you're not going to arm tackle Ennis Haywood. Ennis Haywood says, that's not going to stop me. You're going to have to really get your helmet across my body with some force to take me to the turf. I'm not going down easy.
Don't hit that.
Yelk line drive kick is good. 21-0 Iowa State with 4:40 to go in the first half. The Cyclones trying to go to 6-4 and become bowl eligible. Hand it to Haywood.
Line has gotten him started. You know, look at the big fella Lorenzo White there. Pancake block, cut back for a touchdown. Making his first cut when he's past the line of scrimmage. And you give any good back an opportunity past the line of scrimmage, you're in trouble. Plus, Kansas is helping by not tackling. I mean, they're just not sure tackling today at all.
And Mario Kinsey's back in at quarterback. So 1 series for Dyer. And the handoff and a loss of a couple of yards. Jeremy Lloyd had penetration on Reggie Duncan, and we go downstairs to Jim Knox.
Drew, Kansas head coach Tom Hayes just came over the bench and challenged his defense. He said they started the game and they were fighting. He said the last 2 series he didn't like what he saw. That is, guys laying down. He said half the guys were standing around, the other guys were playing. He says, let's finish this thing strong. We'll see if this defense comes out next series.
That's good. He had to challenge him. They're just not hitting anybody. Knox, you throw a helmet on and bring it across the bow.
Knox, he'll hit somebody.
He'll strike you. I call him the Cobra, man. He'll strike you.
Kinsey on the option. And he emerges for about 6 or 7. Tom Hayes was telling us yesterday, he said, you know, with 2 games left, obviously 2-7, it's a very awkward situation with Terry Allen being let go. He said, but you know what, football's an individual sport before it's a team sport. Right. He said, that's what you have to tell everybody. He said, you know what, you have to take pride in your individual effort, and hopefully collectively we can get something done.
Yeah, reach down inside yourself as far as you have to reach, and draw upon the strength to perform individually, and then if everybody does it collectively, you have an effort.
3rd and 4 here for Kansas.
Oh, man.
And that went backwards. It's a fumble. That is a fumble jumped on, fortunately, for Kansas by Justin Hartwig. Matt Word right up the gut.
Unblocked. An assignment error in the pass protection scheme. And Iowa State calls a timeout because they want to put more points on the board. They have plenty of time. But I'll tell you what, that's a backward pass. So that's a lateral. That's a free ball. In the unblocked blitzer, Ward disrupted the whole thing. Here comes Ward. Kinsey's in trouble. Now he tries to throw it away, but Ward torques him and twists him. And as he throws the football, he throws it backward. Backward pass, live football. Kansas falls on top of it, Hartwig, or else Iowa State has a 1st and goal at the 7.5-yard line.
Make sure you got it lined up.
Now it's going to be, they called the timeout because Kansas was going to run the ball, run the clock down as much as they could, milk it, and then punt it. Iowa State wanted to save those precious seconds, make Kansas punt from their own end zone, get good field position, and try to score another touchdown, or at least a field goal. They're going to get great field position. They're going to get half the field to work with. But he saved, Dan McCarney saved a lot of time right there by calling the timeout, not letting Kansas run the clock down unnecessarily.
Dave Chris Terrell will have to hit it out of his own end zone. Michael Wagner back at midfield in a 21-0 game. And this is not a good effort again.
In a Kansas helmet. It's a dead ball, isn't it? I think it hit a Kansas helmet in coverage, and it's a dead ball right there at the 38-yard line.
They're going to move it inside the 40. Short field again for Iowa State. A punt of just 30 yards, and with 2:50 to go in the first half, Iowa State looking to extend their 3-touchdown advantage.
Boom, right on the head. Oh, that's a wake-up call right there. It's like Snyder says, what was that? Hit Jeff Snyder right in the head. But the snap was dropped by Terrell, the punter. He dropped the snap, and that threw his timing off, and he shanked another one. He's kicked a couple off the side of his foot.
Total offense story in this game, 268 for Iowa State, 19 for Kansas. Wow, they're lifeless. You hate to say it, but if it's accurate, you have to.
It's more important to Iowa State right now qualifying for that bowl, there's no doubt.
They'll throw it to Danielson, and he gets north and south. He got in the end zone last week against the University of Colorado. Gave them a 14-10 lead in the first half.
You know, Danielson's the one that injured that left wheel, and here he is. Same play, receiver screen, 3-receiver set, cuts it inside the block. They retaped that left ankle, tried to give as much support as he could. And I'll tell you what, he showed some nice mobility there. Not much of a hitch in the get along. Look at that big tape job right there.
Ennis Haywood didn't like what he saw inside, goes to the boundary. First down inside the 12-yard line. He's at the 11. You know, Ennis Haywood is deceptive, Dave. You see, he's a big guy, 220 pounds, but when he needs to, he's quick. And flat out, he's got, as you like to say, good functional football speed.
Oh, he does. He's got 24 lugs right now for 147 yards. He has been the story. The other thing he's showing today, Drew, tremendous vision. I mean, he is making all the right cuts, and it starts with your eyes. And he is watching his offensive line operate, finding the cutoff block on the backside, and utilizing it. And he's bouncing to the outside when he has to as well.
Haywood makes another good cut. Inside the 5 to the 4-yard line.
But he'll be the first to tell you, Drew, the reason he's gaining all those yards, that particular time he was not touched till he was 5 yards down the field. When you're establishing the line of scrimmage like his big boys are up front, it's easy to run the football. He's making his first cut well past the line of scrimmage. He's on track for a 300-yard day, 5 rushing touchdowns. Davis has the record of 5 rushing touchdowns. He's got 3. He's closing in on that one.
He's also on pace for 50 carries. I don't know if he'll get there. He's closing in, though, on the touchdown mark. 4 now for Haywood. He's 4 for 4.
It's too easy out there. Iowa State's going through him like a hot knife through butter right now. And it's all starting up front. And Dan McCarney loves this, like you mentioned, Drew, a former offensive lineman. Watch the big boys up front push. It starts with the push. And they surge. And look at the crease. I mean, it's an easy deal for Haywood. Gets the pad level underneath the defense's pad level, but it starts up front. And the guy that's doing a heck of a job in the interior for Iowa State is the big fellow, Lorenzo White.
And he matched up with Nate Dwyer again on that play, and it was all Lorenzo White. Tony Yelk makes it 28-0. Iowa State, they are methodically pushing the football down the throat of the Kansas defense. 28-0. Jim Knox, what do you have?
All right, Drew, coming up on the Sonic America's Drive-In halftime report, we'll take a look at our Southwestern Bell Big 12 players of the week. A couple of offensive gems we have for you this week. Also, Dave's coaching tips. We'll head to that defensive line. Dave teams up with a few fellas, and they dish out a few tips for pass rushing. Also, we will take a look at the Big 12 scoreboard. A couple key matchups going on this afternoon. This and much more coming your way on the Sonic America's Drive-In halftime report. Drew.
All right, Jim, thanks very much. The school rushing mark for touchdowns in the game, Troy Davis, 5 against UNLV in Northern Iowa. And in that Northern Iowa game, when he scored 5 touchdowns back in '96.
400 and plus, wasn't it? 400 and some odd yards?
Yeah, I think he had like 4,000 yards. I can't remember. But I do remember this. He had 53 carries.
Wow.
And you know what? Haywood's the same kind of guy. Tough guy. He'll carry it 50 times if you ask him.
Well, he wears people down in the fourth quarter. Today, it didn't take him that long. Kansas is worn down in the second quarter. Not necessarily physically, but mentally and emotionally, they're not into it today.
No, there's not much question about that. Another good kick by Tony Yelk, goes through the end zone, and Kansas with a $1.46 and nothing on the scoreboard will have it at their own 20-yard line. And Ennis Haywood, what did Coach say about Ennis Haywood? He said, if I go in a dark alley, he said, I want him and Mike Banks as my two guys escorting me.
And the thing about Ennis Haywood, for his entire career at Iowa State, he's been the personal protector for the punter on the punt team. So he not only stays on the field, he'll stay on the field if the offense doesn't execute and it's a 3-and-out or has to punt the football. He stays on the field and makes sure that everything's handled so his punter gets the ball away.
Reggie Duncan breaks a tackle by Timmons, and Duncan has 13 yards. Tackled finally by Matt Word.
Reggie Duncan, they want to try to get him to the outside. They feel he's a little bit better runner to the perimeter than between the tackles. This was designed between the tackles, but he bounced it. And he broke a tackle. Hey, he has got some physical talent, speed and strength.
Kinsey was looking for his pitch man, but the pitch man was taken. Jeremy Lloyd finally took the quarterback, and it's a short gain on first down, 2nd and 8.
Yeah, what Kansas is trying to do is spread Iowa State out, make them go east and west, and create an opportunity to cut the ball up the football field. But Iowa State inside-out pursuit, that play was outstanding.
Whoa. Kinsey hit from behind, 27-yard line. It's Adam Runk, the strong safety, and that's the 3rd time they've dropped Kinsey in the game.
And that's the 4th tackle for loss for Adam Runk on the season. They bring him on the blitz, and he comes from the backside. You're going to see him appear from the backside as Kinsey rolls to the right. Here comes Adam Runk. There he is, closing. Boom. Consumes him from the backside. Kinsey had no idea Runk was in the vicinity.
Adam Runk's a great athlete. He's a 5 handicap in golf. He lettered in every sport imaginable back in high school in Minnesota. Went to high school, actually, in suburban Minneapolis with Nate Dwyer. Next week, Iowa State, our Big 12 game of the week. They'll play for the Cy Hawk Trophy. Dan McCarney went to Iowa as a football player and a student, and now he's the head coach, and he's done a marvelous job at Iowa State. And the Cyclones look to make it 4 in a row over the Hawkeyes.
Well, Dan McCarney said the mantra right now is to establish a winning tradition and get a second bowl appearance, not one-time wonders. Show that it can happen again and establish that tradition. And he said, you know, we've lost 3 in a row, but the good teams, we're not playing tentatively. I expect my football team to come out and play well against Kansas. Man, he was right. A&M, Kansas State, Colorado, 3 straight losses, but good teams.
All top 25 teams. Kinsey, long throw. And he had both Ross and Fulton in the neighborhood, incomplete. And with 51 seconds left and the clock stopped, Iowa State has forced Kansas to punt. They're thinking about more points.
Well, I guarantee you Iowa State's going to heat this one up, because for 2 consecutive punts, Terrell and his snapper have had problems. You know, and he hasn't been able to get 2 good kicks off on back-to-back opportunities. So I would imagine Iowa State's going to come after it a little bit.
Wagner's not going to be able to get to the football. It's going to roll inside the 30. A flag did come down after the 44-yard punt.
Running into the kicker.
It's running into the kicker.
And he signaled first down. Automatic in college. Now, you know, the only question is, did he run into under his own volition, or was he blocked into?
Personal foul, roughing the kicker on the receiving team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Automatic first down. Now, was he blocked into, or yeah? What? Where is he? Oh, there it is. After the ball is gone.
What's wrong?
I mean, at that point, he's fair game.
He's fair game.
Yeah, why can't Rutland block him? I mean, the ball is out.
That was a bad call.
Yeah, I mean, there was a 2-second delay before he, I mean, he can pick him off. He's right then, after the ball is gone, he's in coverage. But I think the official still felt that he was in a vulnerable position, not able to defend himself and cover yet.
Mills. And he squirts across midfield for about 10 yards to the 48. So maybe Kansas can get something done here in the final 36 seconds. They'll call a timeout. 16 first downs to 6 as Mario Kinsey comes to the sideline.
Well, you know, Mario would like nothing more than to be Super Mario, but it's hard to do it all by yourself. There's not much of a supporting cast going on out there. Nobody's stepping up and making plays for him. It's very, very tough for him. And Rip Shearer had a lot of nice things to say about the Iowa State defense. He said they're a try-hard bunch of guys. You know, they rally to the football, they run around. They don't have, and that's a tribute to John Skladany, the defensive coordinator. They may not have as many marquee players with as much speed as Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska. But John Skladany, you know, you recruit talent and then you coach effort. And John Skladany is coaching tremendous effort with his defensive football team. And they're playing as hard as anybody. They're playing at a very, very high intensity level, and that's all you can ask from your players.
Yeah, Dave, to illustrate that point, back in '97, they were 110th in scoring defense in the country. The last few years, 52, 43. They're moving to the top half of the country on defense, and that will give you an opportunity to win each week.
Absolutely. If you play solid defense, you can stay in the game.
Kinsey. Blue dart trying to get it to Tremaine Fulton on the out. It'll be 2nd and 10 with 32 seconds to go in the first half.
Carson's hurried his throw, Drew. He didn't have time.
Yeah.
Look at the BCS, huh?
Nebraska, Oklahoma,
Big 12,
Texas. Colorado's in the BCS now at number 14. Now, 2 teams will go to the BCS out of the Big 12 in all probability. A third, might be Texas, will not get the opportunity. And I'll tell you what, there aren't 3 teams in college football better than those trio.
Texas might be playing at the highest level of anybody right now.
I would agree with that. Kinsey can't find anybody. So with the legs, he gets 9. And they'll call a quick timeout. 21 seconds left.
Selfishly, though, Drew, Texas would be a Cotton Bowl candidate, and I've got the privilege and honor of doing the Cotton Bowl. It'd be fun to see a matchup, Texas-Auburn type matchup in the Cotton Bowl.
That could be. Well, Texas, if they get help from Texas Tech, may still play for a Big 12 championship. The North Division standings.
Iowa State could clinch 3rd today, Drew.
Yeah, last year they were in the upper part of the North Division, winning 9 games for only the 2nd time ever at Iowa State. The first time came back in 1906, and I believe Syracuse, when you were playing for them, took on the Cyclones that year. Dave, how'd you do?
It was a battle. It was. I can remember I was definitely sore after the game. And here's the South. Texas, like we were describing, in Oklahoma. I mean, they're not just 1 and 2 in the South in the Big 12. They're in the top 5 in the nation.
How about Tech? They've come on, played great football in the second half.
Sure have. Tip of the cap to Coach Leach down there and his players and staff. They've done a great job. You know, this man right here, Dan McCarney, look at that 14-7 record in the last 21 games. Best in 21 games since the 70s. And on the road, he's 7-3 in the last 10 road games, looking to win the 8th here in the last 11. They only had 6 road wins in the entire decade of the 90s.
Yeah, McCarney's been tremendous. Ball pops loose. Lloyd's got the football for Iowa State.
I think
Brandon Rideau had the catch. The pop came. Lloyd gets the football at 10 seconds left.
Boy, somebody just made a training reel hit. Helmet across the bow on the football, dislodging the football. I mean, the ball, it's a blue dart. It's on the money. The catch is made. It's secured right across the bow. Second player in. Strip right there. Helmet right on the football. Tremendous play by Phillips. Makes the hit on the football. Bounces it straight up in the air. Nice effort. Staying after the play. Rideau can't control it. Ball security.
Well, we may see how strong an arm Seneca Wallace has. 10 seconds to go. Wallace on the backside, deep out, and Jack Whitfer a little bit too high. So there are 6 seconds to go.
Seneca Wallace, that's a deep out right there, and he threw that effortlessly. And you could have hung close on that. That was a rope.
Last year's quarterback, Sage Rosenfels, drafted in the 4th round by the Washington Redskins, their number 3 quarterback.
Right. You know, the only knock I'm sure the NFL will have on Seneca Wallace is his size. You know, he's not the prototype. He's, you know, they list him as 6'1", I'm not sure, and he's about 185.
It's up there, and it'll be intercepted at the 5-yard line by Jake Letourneau, the strong safety.
Well,
that's the end of the first half.
That was the old Hail Mary, Drew, and she wasn't full of grace right there for Seneca.
But the first half was pretty good otherwise for Iowa State. 28-0 they lead. Dan McCarney's with Jim Knox. Jim?
Coach, you said in order for your club to be successful, have to be able to run the football. You're doing just that. Ennis Haywood, 158 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns right now.
Well, he's off to a great start. We just knew that we had to run the football. Our running game's been pretty quiet the last couple of weeks, and we need to crank it up. We got a whole half. As you know, anybody can come back and win this game. We got to make sure we improve the second half, Jim.
How do you guard against a letdown coming back in the second half?
Well, that's coaching. We got to go in there and make sure they're more focused in the second half than they were in the first.
Best of luck in the second half. Drew?
All right, Jim, thank you very much. Ennis Haywood, the man. He's getting high fives and kisses and love all around. Hey, Ennis, you got another 30 minutes, my friend. 28-zip. Coming up, the Sonic America's Drive-In Halftime Report.
What do you think?
Beautiful if you're a Jayhawk fan. At halftime, they're down 28-0 back upstairs with Dave Lapham. I'm Drew Goodman. I guess all you need to know about this game is Tony Yelk, the punter for Iowa State, has a 48-yard run. That's almost as much offense as Kansas produced in the first 30 minutes.
You're right, and it all started with that play because Kansas's psyche is so delicate. McCoy comes clean. He doesn't get the block. Not only does he not get the block, Yelk tucks it away, makes some cuts. Now he's looking like a running back. And now at the end of the run, he protects him with 2 hands, so ball security is not going to lose it. And he changes the complexion of the game by a half a football field. And Kansas subsequently started to fall apart. Ennis Haywood, not any sure tackling going on, a lot of arm tackling by the Jayhawks right there, and Haywood makes him pay off to the races. Now he's starting to show his vision, breaking tackles, cutting back, bouncing. He's doing a good job of reading his offensive line. And the thing that the offensive line's doing, Drew, is they're allowing him to make his first cut 5 yards down the football field, past the line of scrimmage, not in his own backfield.
158 yards rushing for Ennis Haywood in the first half, 260 on the ground. Altogether for Iowa State. Wow. They're going after win number 6, looking for bowl eligibility. So far, so good.
I won a Nintendo GameCube with Luigi's Mansion, Wave Race Blue Storm, and Super Smash Bros. Melee, and Pikmin.
This holiday season, let Dr. Pepper play Santa by giving away thousands of incredible new Nintendo GameCubes. Look on specially marked packages for your chance to win instantly.
I know what this is. Quit messing around. Let's go.
The Nintendo GameCube giveaway, only from Dr. Pepper.
Access denied, but I need those graphs for the meeting.
Dude, just go to Plan B.
Plan B. What's Plan B? I don't know what Plan B is. Tell me, what is Plan B?
As you can see from Ms. Stinsmulen and Mr. Nemely, the last couple of years were well below estimates. But this year, we expect to grow enormously. Any questions?
Reliable remote access, so you won't need a Plan B. SBC. We're on it.
Craftsman has created a tool that's a real innovation. It's so easy to use. It's the Craftsman Easy Fire staple and nail gun, only from Sears. With traditional staple guns, you put all the pressure on the back of the tool. This can cause kickback, so staples don't always go in flush. With the Easy Fire's forward action design, you use your arm and your body weight in a natural forward motion. The extra leverage dramatically reduces kickback, so staples go in flush.
It's the only tool I need to finish the screen door.
It's 2 tools in one. Just switch to brad nails to finish off the job. The Easy Fire has a built-in wire guide, and it's half the weight of traditional staple guns. The Craftsman Easy Fire staple and nail gun comes with 1,000 staples in 5 different sizes and 500 brad nails, all for only $19.99.
Have your Sears or other credit card ready and call 1-800-618-1551 to order your Craftsman Easy Fire staple and nail gun for just $19.95 plus shipping.
There's this guy. Oh, it's in my face. Shouted at me. just pushes me. But I love him. He's my coach. My coach.
Be a coach. Be a fan. Special Olympics.
Ennis Haywood getting re-stretched, and why not? He carried the football 26 times for 158 yards in the first half. He owns all 4 touchdowns for Iowa State in the football game. The Cyclones at 5-4. With a win, they go to 6-4, and they even their conference record at 4-4 with 1 game remaining. First half numbers dominated, Dave, by the Cyclones, obviously.
Oh, here it is. When you outrush a football team by over 2 football fields, you're in good shape. And as a result, I mean, you're dominating on total yards. Look at that, 1.9 per play. We're not talking about per rush, per pass, per play. 2-to-1 time of possession. You know, the score is 28-0. It could be worse based on those numbers.
Jim Knox is with the head coach, the interim head coach for Kansas, Tom Hayes.
Coach, in the first half on the sidelines, you challenged your team. I'm sure at halftime you really challenged them.
Well, there's no doubt about it. We were playing well for a quarter and a half, and then in the last 5, 6, 8 minutes, our energy level dropped because things weren't going good. You can't do that. You got to keep competing and keep going, and that's what I talked to him about.
What can we look for in the second half?
More energy.
Okay. Best of luck. Thanks, Coach Drew.
All right, Jim.
Energy and execution. The 2 E's. Enthusiasm. Every E you can think of. Excellence.
Well, they need something good to happen right here in this drive to give them something that will provide energy.
Well, you look at Kansas. They scored 7 points against Nebraska. They were shut out by Texas, and they're shut out the first half here against Iowa State. 7 points in 2 football games, 8 quarters. You know, you're not giving yourself a chance at all.
Wow, this is another monster kickoff by Tony Yelp. He's got some wind at his back, but that's a hammer job. No returns today for Kansas in the kick game. Revisiting the scouting report, the game plan for Kansas, how've they done?
Well, Kansas hasn't shut any Iowa State out at all. 4 touchdowns in the red zone. That's not gonna get it done. And Shadow Seneca, 68 total yards. They've done okay there. 21. Boy, they're not tracking for that magic number. It's not blackjack, but they're not close to 21 yet.
Here's a delay to Reggie Duncan, and he runs into Justin Eilers, and that's the end of that. The senior from Nampa, Idaho, makes the tackle, and it'll be 2nd down and 10.
You know, Iowa State executing so well in the red zone is a surprise, because that's the one constant that Kansas has done well. 47 trips by the opponent in the red zone, only 15 touchdowns coming into this game. Today, Iowa State a perfect 4 for 4, 100% conversion.
This has been the best play all day. Roger Ross, the best play they've run, thrown it in the flat to trips, and Matt Word, Mark Timmons bring down Roger Ross after getting 10+ on that play earlier on a couple of occasions, just 2 on that particular down.
I really think, though, going back, the opening drive of the game, Kansas defense holds Iowa State. Yelk back to punt. What could have been a block in a short field, McCoy block, it turns into a short field for Iowa State when Yelk goes 48 yards. Big play in the game.
Lloyd coming off the edge is picked up by Duncan. Kinsey has a man, and a great catch for a first down, 39-yard line. Roger Ross, the senior from Thomas Jefferson High School in Denver.
If Kinsey could have hit him on the run, there's more yards after catch. But he makes Ross dive for the football. I mean, if Kinsey can just be slightly more accurate, the protection sound, blitz pickup achieved. Kinsey knows where the line of scrimmage is. Hit him in stride, and actually Ross should have stayed on his feet. He didn't have to dive. There's yards after catch there.
Here's the option to Duncan. He gets the pads turned, and he gets 6 yards to the 44-yard line. Runk and Eilers combined to bring him down. You can see that Reggie Duncan has ability.
Well, Reggie Duncan is an unusual package. 4'4" in the 40, which is the quickest in the team. And he squats 635 pounds, best in the team. That's including all linemen and everybody else. He was a top 24 running back in the nation coming out of high school. There's no doubt this kid's got physical abilities.
Pressure coming. Kinsey has some room. Wow. And he gets belted from behind. That was the blitzer, Anthony Forrest, who ran into the backfield and then came and made the play a little bit downfield.
Well, the coaches think that Forrest may be the best overall athlete on this Iowa State football team, and that's saying quite a bit. And he showed some change of direction and ability to close on Kinsey. Kinsey sidestepped him on the initial rush, and Forrest never gave up. Stayed after the play and ultimately involved in the hit.
Yeah, Anthony's a math major, redshirt freshman from Fort Worth. First down, flip side of the 50 at the 48 of Iowa State. Kinsey for 3 yards. You know, this year, this is an unbelievable stat, Dave. In the third quarter, Kansas has 9 points all season long, a field goal, and a defensive touchdown. Carl Ivey scored on an interception return earlier this year. So their offense has not produced a touchdown all year in the third quarter.
And they've given up 59 points. They've been outscored 59-9 in the third quarter, their worst quarter on the season by far. That's an amazing stat right there.
Kinsey, good catch by Fulton. Another first down. That's Termain's first catch. To the 32 they go. 26th catch on the year for the senior from Topeka.
I like throwing on first down on this particular occasion, and they find themselves in the plus category, and I think that's helpful as well. And you get 4 receivers, and they're going to throw the football in the intermediate areas.
Best drive of the afternoon for Kansas, trying to remove the donut from the scoreboard. To the 6-yard line. Beautiful grab by Mills. Kinsey had time and he delivered the football.
Well, I'll tell you what, they responded to Tom Hayes' conversation at the half about tweaking the energy level and the enthusiasm up a little bit. Ross on the inside runs the skinny post and runs it well and takes a lick. I mean, right to the rib cage. A tremendous shot delivered in there by Timmons, but he hangs on to the football very well. First and goal.
They were looking for they were looking for Mills again on the quick out. The strong safety was coming underneath.
You know, on the flip side of the third quarter, Iowa State has outscored people 2-1. They've scored 56 points in the third quarter and only given up 28. So, I mean, it's been one of their better quarters, and the worst quarter of the year has been the third quarter for Kansas, but they're responding here and putting themselves in position to score their first offensive touchdown of the season, and it's game 10 here in the third quarter.
Let's see if you get quarterback draw, and you do. 9-yard line, a loss of 4.
Well, that was a good call. Good call by John Skladany. Blitz because, Drew, it's a good safe call against the run or the pass. And here's word on the blitz. And he's blitzing Kinsey if he's throwing the football, and he's blitzing him if he's running the quarterback draw, which he was. But it's a very, very sound call by John Skladany to bring his inside backer to put pressure in Kinsey's face, whether he's running it or throwing it. Look at that. 24% on third down, last in the Big 12. Kansas State, on the other hand, second in the Big 12 to Texas on third down conversion.
Gassaway to the near side, has great height. They throw the fade.
Oh!
They got it. Touchdown, Byron Gassaway, the 6'4" junior from Grandview, Missouri.
And went after the best cover guy, Atif Austin. Involved, and that's a size mismatch. And you called it, Drew. Fade, use that height, use that size, and it's used very effectively. Gassaway is a guy, when we first saw him, Drew, I thought he had superstar written all over him. I mean, big, 6'4", 210 pounds, can run. He's had just a career of injury that has really caused him problems.
First touchdown this year for Gassaway, and the first touchdown of the third quarter all season as Johnny Beck makes it 28-7. He just took it away, Dave.
Yeah, you got Austin is 5'9".
They say the new car has powers magical. They say once you sit inside, you turn into a different person. In this car, I wish to ride.
The all-new Lexus ES 300, a new world of luxury.
Nightly at 10, it's the Southern California Sports Report.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's the nightly newscast you've been waiting for.
This is the real deal.
30 minutes every night dedicated to scores, highlights, and interviews from your hometown teams.
We told you it was going to be good.
Your teams, your town, your show. The Southern California Sports Report, nightly at 10 on Fox Sports Net.
Thanksgiving weekend, Fox presents your average queen loses kingdom, hero fights villain, boy risks everything to save the day space action adventure fantasy that begins a motion picture legend.
The crowds are going nuts!
Never before seen on television, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Plus, a sneak peek at the StarWars.com documentary, R2-D2 Beneath the Dome. Sunday, November 25th on Fox.
For Byron Gassaway, that's his first touchdown since his freshman year in '98. He got in the end zone a couple of times. You're right. When we first saw him, Dave, you figured this guy was going to be a star.
Oh, man.
Wagner with the football. And Michael Wagner gets across the 30 to the 33-yard line.
Well, Kinsey knows he's got Gassaway at 6'4" on Atif Austin, who's 5'9". Kinsey lays it up, really not high enough, but jump ball, 6'4" beats 5'9". In basketball, that's over the back. They may call the foul, but here in football, jump ball, bigger, stronger, makes the play. Atif Austin had good position, just could not get the football away from the taller, stronger-handed Gassaway.
11 plays, 80 yards for the Jayhawks. After, I'm sure, a tongue lashing at halftime from Tom Hayes.
Tom Hayes has to be encouraged. They responded, Drew.
They did. And the ball's on the ground. Charlie Dennis in pursuit. And it is covered up by Jamal Montgomery. Almost came out again.
Well, penetration by Kansas was the factor there. Travis Watkins was disruptive in the backfield. And as the handoff, the fake handoff is made, there's a little bit of a disruption in the backfield, but Seneca Wallace should have made a cleaner exchange with his receiver coming around. And it's just like with a running back. Montgomery is the receiver. There has to be a clean exchange between quarterback and back with the football.
They lost 6 on the play. Walker to Whitver, and he gets to the 36-yard line. They get 8 yards back on the play. Carl Ivey, the tackles. So they go 80 yards on the opening drive of the third quarter for Kansas. The first 9 games on opening drive of the third quarter, 29 snaps, 21 yards.
Wow, that's incredible. And today they go the length of the field. You know, it's tough in the Big 12 to go 70-plus yards on double-digit plays against anybody. And Kansas hadn't done anything the entire first half against Iowa State's defense. They go 80 yards in 11 plays. Amazing.
On third down, Wallace, and it's broken up. Andrew Davison broke it up as Jamal Montgomery had it momentarily, 3 and out, and now Kansas does have some energy.
And Seneca Wallace, I didn't realize that he was 2 for 10 in the first half. I thought his numbers were better than that. Now he's 2 for 11. His worst game by far so far, throwing the football. I mean, he was completing 63% of his passes coming in, and now, you know, he's struggling. You know, he's closing in on a 10% conversion.
This is a great punt. Tony Yelp turns it over and almost deadens it at the 1-yard line. A 64-yard punt, a net of 44. 8:12 to go in the third. 28-7 Cyclones. Big 12 college football is brought to you by Sonic Drive-Ins and your friends at Dr. Pepper. And by Citgo. Your neighborhood Citgo is proud to support today's athletes. Citgo, we know you. With Dave Lapham and Jim Knox, I'm Drew Goodman. Glad you're with us today from Lawrence, Kansas. 28-7. Kansas has the football back after going 80 yards. They have a pump and go. Fulton's on alone. Ball's hanging out there forever, and it's picked off by Runk. And Runk knocked out at the 34. Dave, it was there.
It was there big time, and Kinsey threw it a little late, and he threw it way, way too high. Too much air into the football. If he throws a rope down the football field, which he could have done, the pump fake and then down the field, so open, you don't have to put that much air under it. I mean, he's got an opportunity between Simmons and the interceptor, Runk, that got the play done that was there. Don't have to put all that air under it. I mean, Runk could have fair caught that football. Put a little bit tighter rope on that thing, and you have a big play. Unfortunate for Kinsey because it was a good call. It was set up well by Rip Shearer.
Third interception this year for Runk. Dennis Haywood. And look at Haywood carrying Greg Cole for another 2 or 3 yards. Second down and a couple, maybe a down to play with if you're Iowa State from the 25-yard line of Kansas.
Boy, Kansas was in good position to start to mount a little bit of a comeback, and that interception is deflating.
Here comes Haywood again. First down to the 21-yard line. They just line up with 2 tight ends and block anybody in your path.
A little power game, and let's take a look at the game plan for Iowa State. Established Ennis. Woo!
He's established.
Have they ever 4 touchdowns and 172 yards. Ball security has been sound. Win on third down 50% to less than 30%. That's why they're up 28-7. All pluses right there.
Here's a boot. Wallace comes to run. And he'll get a first down inside the 10. First and goal, 9-yard line.
Nice blocking by Lane Danielson down the football field. You could hear almost, you could hear the Iowa State sideline. Block down the football field. Of course, that's Coach Dan McCarney. He doesn't need a microphone or a megaphone. He's got that booming voice. He's got the pipes. And Danielson did a good job on the perimeter, giving his quarterback an opportunity to take advantage, Seneca Wallace.
Dan's one of those guys at the end of the game, he's in a full lather.
Oh, yeah.
And his voice doesn't recover till the following Friday. Haywood. Algie Atkinson stopped him after a couple of yards. Then he had some help.
You know, the defense, I think, has responded to the offensive drive. There is a little bit more hitting going on by the Kansas defensive football team. There's not the reaching out and the arm tackling. They were just like reach out and touch somebody in the first half. Now, at least they're following it up with some thump. They're hitting with their bodies instead of just grab.
Craig Campbell goes to the top. Lane Danielson to the near side. On the slant, touchdown to Danielson. Good throw from Seneca Wallace. And for Lane Danielson, his 3rd touchdown of the year.
Perfect timing. It starts up front. The protection's excellent. 3-step drop on the 3rd step. The ball is gone. Danielson gets the inside release. Touchdown. Executed well up front by the thrower and the receiver. Touchdown.
200-pounder sophomore from Dike, Iowa. Mario Kinsey wondering what could have been.
Oh, that was a huge swinging momentum right there. Big play opportunity. Instead, Iowa State makes the big play with the pick for a score.
Tony Yelk makes it 35-7.
Great throw. Boy, that's a tight RPM there. Happy quarterback.
Lane Danielson is a nice story. He unfortunately grew up in a single-parent environment. He grew up with his mom, and his mom perished in a car accident last spring. So Lane plays obviously with a heavy heart. Third touchdown this year for Danielson, is one of the fastest players on the team for Iowa State.
Former walk-on.
Yeah, he was recruited by Northern Iowa as a walk-on and also by Iowa State as a walk-on. No school, even at the 1AA level, offered a scholarship.
And now he's the leading receiver on the football team. Let's take a look at the reception that he made. Starts with the offensive line. Watch the cut block right here. Freeze it right here. Watch the cut block, giving a throwing lane, and then watch the throw. I mean, just a rocket on the money, right between the 8 and the 2. But the cut block of Hayes by the offensive line gave Seneca Wallace vision on his intended target, Lane Danielson, and it was executed extremely well.
Kinsey throws it to Ross. And Ross, say hello to Matt Word. Matt Word's made a lot of tackles today, Dave.
He sure has. He is the Word. He's the defensive word today.
Well, they lost Chris Whitaker early in the fall. Chris Whitaker, another linebacker that could run for Iowa State.
Right.
They're starting to be able to recruit athletes that can really run, and it comes with success. And Dan McCarney slowly has turned this program around. 9 wins last year. They're going to, in all probability, go to another bowl game this year.
Well, they're so much better on both lines of scrimmage. Last year, all 4 of their defensive linemen were either drafted or went to NFL camp as free agent. All 4.
That says something. Another deep ball, looking for Gassaway. And it was behind him. The crowd wanted some sort of interference on Atif Austin, but there was none there.
No, Atif Austin is just trying to find the football, make an adjustment to the football over the other shoulder. Both are trying to make an adjustment to the ball, and in the official's opinion, both had an opportunity to that spot of the field to make an adjustment to the football. Gassaway and Austin, the size mismatch we talked about. Gassaway 6'4", Austin 5'9".
3rd and 11 for Kansas. Trips to the top. And that's going to be picked off also.
Wow.
And then it squirts out. It was picked off by Forrest and then recovered.
No, it was stripped out of there by Rideau.
Harold Cluis recovered it.
Man.
So Forrest gets the pick, and most importantly, Iowa State gets the football. 4th turnover of the game by Kansas.
McKenzie throws it up for grabs. And the interception is made, but watch Rideau stay after it. Rideau says, no, I want it. I want the football. He can't find it. Iowa State does. I'll tell you, it all goes back to the quarterback, though. You have to wonder, what is Mario Kinsey seeing out there, because he just threw it up, and it could have been fair caught by Anthony Forrest.
Haywood to the 42-yard line. That's the first career pick for Anthony Forrest.
You know, sometimes you get hit below the waist, and you lose your breath, and it's painful.
That was a politically correct description, Dave.
Yeah, Mario Kinsey is trying to collect himself.
2nd and 7 for the Cyclones. 4.5 to go in the 3rd. Wallace. He does have quick feet. Look at this conference. Eric Crouch, quarterback in Nebraska. I think when you look around the country, I thought it was going to come down to Sean Foster and Eric Crouch for the Heisman Trophy with Foster done for the season. I think Eric Crouch has got to be the leading candidate right now for the Heisman. But this guy could play quarterback.
And slightly bow-legged, you know, just slightly. Everybody that has had tremendous speed that I've been aware of, just slightly bow-legged like Seneca Wallace is. And boy, does he pick him up and put him down. It's he's very, very gifted athletically.
There's some of the gifts on display right there to the 40-yard line. He got 9 and never did get touched. Seneca Wallace went to Oregon State out of high school as a wide receiver. He didn't want to play the position, though, so he transferred to Sacramento City College, and he was still the number 2 quarterback there until an injury. And then when he took over, nobody else could wrestle the job from him. Last year, he was a JC All-American. He threw for 3,600 yards and 22 touchdowns and rushed for 550 yards.
And every Big 12 coach that's played against him, they not only talk about his accuracy, but it's like chasing the wind in the open field. And Dan McCarney said, and I agree with him, he's got as much open field elusiveness and quickness as any back in the Big 12.
On second down, he's got a man out there and over the head of Lance Young. And that's one he'd like to have back.
Yep. He has had about 3 that I can remember, deep balls that have been just off the mark. Not by much. Seneca's upset because he did have an opportunity for the big play there.
Let me ask you, as a quarterback, do you think the wind had something to do with that? Because there's a big breeze at his back right now, and he kind of hung it out there.
I think it's always a factor. And he does throw a tight spiral. And the tighter your spiral, the less interference there is with wind. But when you have it at your back, like he does right now, you do have to make an adjustment.
Stoppage in play, and while they sort things out downstairs on 3rd and 1, Jim Knox has an update. Jim,
how about a wind forecast, Drew? You're talking about the wind, you know, up above the stadium. The flags are blowing pretty briskly, but on the field, no wind. This bowl-shaped stadium holds the wind tight. Nothing inside, but above the stadium, plenty of wind.
But the flags on the open end of the stadium, at the top of the goalposts, are moving a little bit.
Hey, we've determined, Dave, why there was a stoppage. We were looking at each other saying, what's going on? There's an official down on the sideline at the 15-yard line.
The field judge. The field judge got knocked flat on his back.
That's Brad Van Vark.
And you know what I think happened? You know, I'm wondering if he's a little woozy, if his head hit the ground, or if he's got a leg injury. And it looks like they're checking his leg more than his head.
I am amazed, Dave, you played in the NFL for 10 years, that officials, particularly umpires, don't get hurt more because they're moving around with 22 guys flying around with helmets.
Well, in the NFL this year, and in NFL Europe, they put the umpire in the backfield to see if, in fact, they could avoid contact and still make the proper calls that they need to make in terms of holding and illegal use of hands and that type of thing. And if, in fact, it's not a disruption in the offensive backfield, I'd like to see it happen. Because I've seen umpires get broken hips. I've seen umpires get concussions. This field judge looks like he's got a left ankle problem. Got tangled up with the receiver and defensive back on the sideline on a play. It happens a lot. The umpire, though, is the guy that's in the most traffic. He's the most vulnerable. He's the guy behind the defensive line that makes the holding calls and illegal use of hands in the offensive and defensive linemen. Now, I don't think there's a substitute or an extra official here. I think they'll have to finish the game a man short. Everybody else will have to assume the responsibilities of the field judge.
And Brad Van Vark is not putting any weight on that leg.
No, that left leg is bothersome.
Of course, not too far from here, Louisiana Tech is taking on Kansas State. And look at this in the second quarter, La Tech under Jack Bicknell Jr. leading the Wildcats. And we'll see the Wildcats next week against the University of Missouri. And the Wildcats, speaking of teams trying to become bowl eligible, usually it's a foregone conclusion this late in the season, but they come into today at 4-5.
If they win out, they go. But they have to beat Louisiana Tech before they can worry about Missouri next week. And I don't think Bill Snyder's team's necessarily looking past Louisiana Tech. They can't afford to do it, but La Tech doing a job on him, Jack Bicknell Jr.
3rd and 1, Ennis Haywood's going to lose yardage. Banks, Floodman, Charlie Dennis, a loss of 2. 4th down coming up, and again we go down to Jim Knox. Jim.
Drew, they're taking field judge Brad Van Vark in the locker room. I talked to him briefly. He said Achilles tendon. He heard the pop.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
And really what happens there is when the Achilles tendon snaps, the tendon ends up in your calf. It just kind of goes up like a window shade. When you hear the snap and you hear the pop, it's not good. That means it was torn totally.
We had a flag at the end of that play, and it's evidently against Kansas, so it'll work as a 1st down for Iowa State. It was a face mask. John Bible cranks up the clock again. 1st down, 26-yard line for the Cyclones.
Boy, somebody offensively, that's unusual. For an offensive player, or a defensive player, I'm sorry, he grabbed the face mask and didn't just let it go. I mean, it was a personal foul. Grabbed it and twisted and contorted.
Here's a lead. Woodley leads for Haywood, and it was closed down by Travis Watkins. Or check it, it was McMillan, David McMillan, coming off the edge. Short gain, and gives us an opportunity to look at our We Know You by Citgo. I earned the nickname Tuxedo because I wore a tuxedo every game I played. My game day tux is now on display at the College Football Hall of Fame. And by the way, I once ran for 300, that's not a typo, 396 yards in a game.
His last collegiate game, in fact, against Missouri, 396 yards. Glenn Mason was the head coach at Kansas at the time.
What's the matter? He couldn't get 400?
I know. What's up with that? Get him another carry.
Wallace, short drop, looking for the slant. Now he is going to be slanted to the ground at the 34-yard line. Floodman and Atkinson get there. Now, if that's Atkinson's, if they give him half a sack, he ties Ron Warner for the all-time sack mark at Kansas. A full sack, and he owns it himself.
Well, let's see what happens. Here's Atkinson right here, separating. Now, he get. I don't think they're going to give him a half. Well, they might. They might give him a half sack there to tie the record. I think he'd like to have one clean one though and establish himself as the man without a question.
3rd and 15. Cyclones need the 16-yard line. Wallace toward Danielson, 1st down. He's to the 3-yard line. That had some mustard on it.
Boy, the thing that he did so well was got north and south with the football and made Bryant miss him. And it starts with good protection up front. And the pocket is solid for Seneca Wallace. Steps up into that firm pocket and goes back to his 3rd option, his 3rd read. Delivers the ball. Now there's the make it miss. Get up the football field, makes Bryant miss, and picks up about another 8 or 9 yards after catch, 1st and goal. Nice effort by Danielson.
Well, is it number 5 coming up for Ennis Haywood?
It could be. That would tie the record.
Oh, they go to Woodley. And the fullback, did he get in?
He's darn close if he did, and I thought he did, but he's about a 1.5 feet short.
Oh, man. Joe Woodley, before that carry, Dave, 2 carries, 3 yards in the 2001 season. He probably said, did you call my number? He asked Seneca to say to play again.
Right, because his contribution's been a short yardage goal line blocking back. But they threw the dog a bone. They let the big dog eat. Throw him a bone. Yeah. They gave Woodley the bone, said chew on it a little bit.
Dad Mike, the tight ends coach, says, give it to him again. They will. And Woodley's in for a touchdown. Joe says, hey, I like this.
Yeah. Joe says it's good to be a star. Get on the board. Takes his job very seriously. You know, coach's son, they normally do. He's been a big contributor on this football team. It's good to see him get in the scoring books.
You know, when Whitaker went down, the linebacker, they thought about moving Joe Woodley, who was a great linebacker in high school, over to the defensive side of the ball for a while.
Right. Once again, able to handle that mentally. Grew up around the game. Offense, defense, special teams. Got a great Steve Loney, the coordinator right there, shaking his hand, saying, I got one for you, buddy.
And Tony Yelk has point number 42 on the board for Iowa State. 42-7, they lead in Kansas.
Iowa State 42, Kansas 7.
There's a light in your soul, says you're one of a kind. Don't never let it go. Be original, an individual, like Dr. Pepper. Be you, do what you do. Be you, do what
Be sure to pick up Garth's new album, Scarecrow, wherever great music is sold.
What do you think of this one?
I think it's nice. Would you care to take a closer look? Thanks.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know. Very sparkly. How about I put some chili on it? Nice.
It's Chili Makes It Better month at Sonic, featuring our extra long coney covered with meaty chili and shredded cheese. Get one now with a large order of tots for just $2.99. And if you just can't get enough chili, try these other chili favorites, like our Fritos chili pie.
9 different players, including Tony Yelk, who kicks off, have carried the football today for Iowa State. And they're putting a hurting on the Jayhawks today, 42-7. They have not won in this stadium since 1989.
Oh, Kansas put this this new turf down, this Astro Play turf, at the cost of $330,000. And Iowa State slipped and slid around a little bit early on. But Seneca Wallace and Iowa State skilled people have gotten their footwork straightened out. They've hung 42 on the board at this point.
For Iowa State this year, it's the
touchdown Woodley.
Third time they've gone over 40 points this year. They had 45 against Northern Iowa, 41-0. They beat Baylor. Kinsey, tackled by Eilers, and then he took a shot from Tyson Smith. And the answer to our Sitco, we know you, Tuxedo Tony Sands. I remember when he got the 396 back in '91. Good running back, and we just were visiting with one of the favorite guys we met over the years here at Kansas, David Winbush, who was a real good running back for them, and David's still around the program. In fact, he's on the search committee for the new head coach, and he was a similar size guy as Tony Sands.
He was. Tony Sands, when he rushed for 396, was an NCAA record at that time.
Kinsey, look out, down at the 22-yard line. Jordan Karstens gets him.
David Winbush is finishing his degree here. He's a quality kid. I mean, I think he's going to be a success in anything he decides to do once he gets that degree. And there's a guy that's going to be playing on Sunday.
Ennis Haywood has 4 touchdowns today. Iowa State has a 35-point lead as we close the book on the 3rd chapter in Lawrence. 42-7 Cyclones.
There's a light in your soul.
42-7 as we begin the 4th quarter. Mario Kinsey under center on 3rd down and 7 from his own 23. Deflected and intercepted by Word. Word with a block. Touchdown, Iowa State. How about that? The junior from Miami, Florida, 35-yard interception return for a score.
Well, Iowa State rushed 3 and dropped 8 into coverage. And there was nowhere to go with the football. Kinsey tried to throw the football into a tight spot. Iowa State was all over it. Another interception, this one taken back to the house, though. A defensive touchdown is all Iowa State needs right now. Kansas is in trouble.
Remember, Word almost had a pick earlier in the game?
Right. You know, Mario Kinsey has thrown, what, is that his 3rd interception? Am I right? 3rd interception on the day? I can remember 3, I think.
Well, it's their 5th turnover.
And there's a couple of others he could have had as well.
It is his 3rd pick of the day.
Iowa State is elected to decline the penalty. It'll be a practice.
Iowa State mixing it up on Mario Kinsey, coming with the pressure. On that particular 3rd down occasion, though, only rushed 3. defensive linemen and dropped 8 linebackers and secondary members into coverage and got the takeaway. 15 interceptions on the season now.
Tony Yelk makes it 49-7. First snap of the fourth quarter. Matt Word gets the pick, and the middle backer gets in the end zone. 49-7 Iowa State.
Access denied, but I need those graphs for the meeting.
Dude, just go to Plan B.
Plan B. What's Plan B? I don't know what Plan B is. Tell me, what is Plan B?
As you can see from Ms. Stinsmulen and Mr. Nemely, the last couple of years were well below estimates. But this year, we expect to grow enormously. Any questions?
Reliable remote access, so you won't need a Plan B. SBC. We're on it.
What do you think of this one?
I think it's nice.
Would you care to take a closer look?
Thanks.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know. Very sparkly.
How about I put some chili on it?
Nice.
It's Chili Makes It Better month at Sonic, featuring our extra long coney covered with meaty chili and shredded cheese. Get one now with a large order of tots for just $2.99. And if you just can't get enough chili, try these other chili favorites, like our Fritos chili pie.
Big 12 Conference, pursuing victory with honor.
Matt Word's a happy guy, and why not? His team leads 49-7. He just got in the end zone. Back upstairs with Dave Lapham. I'm Drew Goodman. Iowa State was ready to play today. They wanted win number 6.
Oh, there's no doubt about it, Drew. This game was extremely important to them because they would qualify for a bowl. Second consecutive bowl for this program is big. They're not a one-time wonder.
There's no question, and keep in mind that they returned only 7 starters from last year's 9-3 team. Byron Gassaway looking for room. And he steps on the accelerator out to the 27-yard line. Here's that pick again by Word.
Well, they rushed 3 and dropped 8 into coverage, and Kinsey ends up throwing into double coverage as a result. Word's got the underneath, the little bracket coverage, and he makes the play. Kinsey's receiver goes down, and Word uncontested for the interception. Then he gets up, picks up a convoy of blockers on the edge and takes it inside the pylon for a big touchdown.
You know, this is the most points that Dan McCarney team has had since his first year at Iowa State in '95, when they produced 57 against UNLV. Zach Dyer back in at quarterback. We saw him in the second quarter, and he is welcomed unceremoniously by Jordan Karstens and Brent Nash.
Well, this is the most points scored by a Dan McCarney team in Big 12 competition. You know, you hang 49 points on a Big 12 opponent, you're getting something done. And Iowa State, this game was definitely important to them. They had lost 3 in a row. Texas A&M, Kansas State, Colorado wanted to get back on track, and boy, have they ever.
Oh. Dyer almost threw a pick. That was Anthony Forrest. He was trying to get it to Tremaine Fulton, and he missed him. So it'll be 3rd down. One of the things that Iowa State wanted to accomplish as well was restoring their confidence, and they have.
They really have. This ball sailed on Dyer. The release point was a little awkward over his intended target, and almost a great diving play accomplished by Anthony Forrest, but that ball came out of Dyer's hands funky.
Iowa State had lost 3 straight. Dyer, oh man, erased at the 29-yard line. Great job by Brandon Brown, a true freshman, Dave, from Houston. Another one of those young players that Dan McCarney has recruited, and he likes Brown a lot.
Well, in what they did, John Skladany decides once again to only rush 3 and drop 8 into coverage, and then Brown rallies. Watch, everybody else will back out. They'll only rush 3 guys, and then watch them rally in coverage. The linebackers will drop out, 3 rush, and they come up and make a play on him.
Michael Wagner from the 24. Wagner has a crease to the 49-yard line of Kansas. A punt of 45. Wagner took it back 27. 13-10 to go in the fourth. All Iowa State. College football is brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper makes the world taste better.
Yes.
You bet. And by Southwestern Bell, the official telecommunications company of the Big 12. Another spectacular autumn Saturday. We're in eastern Kansas, Lawrence, Kansas to be exact. And the Jayhawks are losing 49-7 Iowa State. And the Cyclones have it with another short field. Ennis Haywood gets one or two. And down with Mrs. Haywood is Jim Knox. Jim?
Actually, Drew, a lot of Iowa State fans made the trip here to Lawrence, Kansas. They're happy they did that because a win today, they are bowl eligible. The happiest fan right here has to be Mrs. Carol Haywood. Ennis Haywood's mother, she made the trip from Dallas. And guys, she doesn't like to fly, so she drove today. In fact, she has driven to every game this year except the Ohio U game. I asked her, spent some time with her. She told me that the trip from Dallas to Ames, Iowa, 12 hours, took her 8 hours today here in Lawrence.
So she doesn't mind when they play in Lawrence. Travis Watkins makes the tackle on her son, Ennis. And there's Mrs. Haywood.
Well, she got a nice halftime kiss from Ennis. He went in with 158 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns at the half and was able to kiss his mom. That's a pretty good deal. She was happy about that. They were hoping to get her son, Ennis, 20 touches today. He's already got 34.
For 184 yards. He may go over 200 yards for the 4th time in his career.
Amazing.
Could happen right here. You never know. Well, maybe not. In fact, Ennis just back to the original line of scrimmage. And it'll be 4th down for Dan McCarney's team. You know, what a great
his knee a little bit, Drew. He's limping a little bit as he works to the sideline there.
Yeah.
As he went out of bounds. A little hitch there.
A little bit of one.
Yeah.
What a great deal. His mom driving over 700 miles basically every weekend to see her son play.
But this is what we're talking about. Look, it's 4th down. He stays in. He's a personal protector. He goes to the back of the punt formation and gets everybody lined up right so his punter can kick.
He is hobbling going downfield. And this thing is going to be down inside the 6-yard line. Tony Yelk with a 36-yard punt and a net of 36. Well, the new athletic director at Kansas is Dr. Alan Boley. Came from Fresno State. 49-7 the score. Iowa State will improve to 6-4 at the end of this one, with Iowa still to come. You talk about turning things around in Kansas. One of the difficult things about playing in the Big 12, you got Nebraska, you have Oklahoma and Texas. They're at one level. Then Colorado and Kansas State, Texas A&M, another level. Fulton will have the first down at the 39-yard line. It will take some doing, but it can be done.
And then you have Texas Tech and Iowa State at the next level. And Matt Ward for Iowa State, they're glad to have him. Here he is spying Kinsey. Here he is causing a backward pass that was recovered by Kansas. Here he is sacking the quarterback. And then to top it all off, tip, deflection, interception. And he says, now I'm a running back. I was watching Haywood all day. He gets a convoy of blockers inside the pylon. Touchdown. Little high stepping. Matt Ward has been the word today defensively.
They're going to run a reverse. This is Derek Mills. He's going to throw it. Fulton's out there. He's run out of real estate.
It's good in Canada. Fields that wide up there in Canada.
And how about Ellis Hobbs, the freshman? He wasn't fooled. The numbers, when you add them up for Matt Ward today, Dave, this is a pretty good game for a linebacker. 7 tackles, 5 solos, an interception for a touchdown, 2 sacks, and 4 tackles for loss.
Jeez. And he sold some popcorn. He did it all. He tore tickets.
That's a pretty good day. 230-pound junior from Miami. And last year, he was the defensive MVP against Kansas, and I think he's going to take the award home again this year.
He loves this in-state rivalry. There's no doubt about it. When he sees blue, he steps up.
Dyer down the middle, picked off. This is Brent Nash, the backup to Word. And Brent Nash makes like a Beverly Hills cop and runs it out to the 47. I say that because he's from Beverly Hills, California.
I'll tell you, this is amazing. It looks like Nash becomes the primary receiver. And now on the year, Kansas State's about +10. They were +5 coming in. That's the 4th interception of the day. And an outstanding return. These guys not only are picking the football off, they're doing something with it after the catch. I mean, they're all turning into fullbacks.
It's their 6th turnover of the day.
And they've given it up once, I think, so they're +5, right, on the day?
They're +5.
+10 on the year.
Chris Love's in at quarterback now. And he hands off to Michael Wagner, who gets dropped. Chris Love's a kid that can play. 6'5", 210-pound redshirt freshman. He's from Round Rock, Texas.
Well, he is a tall drink of water, isn't he? He towers in that huddle.
You don't lose him.
The thing is, you like guys like that because it's hard to get pressure in their face because they look right over the top of you. Look at him. He's in the huddle looking over the top of everybody right there. So if you have to have a very, very tall linebacker or get pressure by the defensive lineman in his face to be equivalent to getting disrupt his vision. He's so high.
Wagner doesn't get much. He lost the football. They're going to say he's down. Yeah, they're going to say he's down. So David McMillan will have to give the football back to an official. And it'll be 3rd down and long.
Well, ground can't cause a fumble, remember. So if his knee is down and the ball comes, both knees are down by the time the ball comes out, that's a very easy call and a correct call the officials made. 3rd and a whole bunch.
Mike Grant, the running back, trying to continue the tradition started by Tony Alford, who's now at the University of Washington. No fumbles by his tailbacks.
Yep, haven't had one since opening day of '97.
That is remarkable. Love throwing it up, and that's picked off. Good catch by Quincy Rowe.
There's a flag. Let's see if it's defensive or offensive pass interference. Let's see how this shakes down. If it's defensive pass interference, it'll nullify this takeaway. Or if it's holding or illegal contact or something of that nature, let's see if this turnover holds up or not. Flag being talked about right now.
Pass interference
oh,
on the
wow.
defense.
Nullifies.
Penalty leaves the ball at the spot of the foul. First down.
Now let's take a look at what Love is looking at. Grab right there. That's why the interception is made. Impeding the progress down the football field, interfering with the opportunity to advance. Quincy Rowe ties up the receiver and then becomes the receiver, but his infraction gave him the opportunity, so the opportunity is a moot point.
They move it to the 42, and the drive continues for Iowa State. Wagner gets 1 or 2 as we take a look at our Comfort Inn game summary. It was 28-0 Iowa State at halftime. They rushed for 260 yards in the first half. Ennis Haywood is done for the day, we assume. 185 yards, 4 touchdowns. Wow. They're now over 300 yards on the ground.
6 takeaways, 5 of those are interceptions, and 1 went back to the house. Word took it back for a score. Just every phase of the game was won by Iowa State today.
17 picks on the year now for Iowa State. Love looking to throw it, and it's broken up as Jason Leifstog had it momentarily. You know who's gone without a catch today? Mike Banks, your tight end.
He's the 3rd receiver on the team, I believe, coming in. And Mike Banks is another guy that will be in somebody's camp. Well, you gotta love Love's height. Makes it a lot easier. It's tougher to deflect his passes. If he throws over the top, it's like trying to block a shot. You can't do it with that height.
Love throws it in the flat, and Montgomery will have a first down, 26-yard line. Jamal Montgomery has the quick acceleration. Sophomore from Long Beach, California.
You know, coming into today's game, Iowa State had held 2 conference opponents to less than 43 yards rushing. First time in school history that had happened. Kansas got 50 today. They almost had their third opponent to 43 yards or less. That's a vast improvement defensively for the Cyclones.
Wagner taken to the turf by Marquise Hayes.
Coming into today's game also defensively, they're only allowing 155 yards a game passing. Second in the conference, 6th best in the country. And they were 26th in the country pass efficiency. And they did a good job of shutting down the Kansas passing attack today. That won't hurt those numbers. And here they are rushing the ball, 178 yards a game, 4th in the conference coming in. Today, they're getting close to doubling that number.
Jermaine Phillips, whose cousin is Chauncey Phillips. Well, this being one of our final games of the year, we look back on some of the great moments in college football out of the Big 12 this year.
This was great.
This was special. First game after the attacks of September 11th. We were in College Station, Texas, and the whole stadium, more than 83,000, adorned in red, white, and blue.
Instead of a maroon out, it became a patriotism out. And every member of A&M's coaching staff were dressed in the red, white, and blue T-shirts as well. I'll tell you what, it made you proud to be an American that day.
Money from the T-shirts, by the way, donated to the Relief Fund in New York. And that's another first down of Montgomery in front of Quincy Rowe. And in the second quarter, Oklahoma State leading in Waco 24-7. Oklahoma State was the opponent of the Aggies that day.
Right.
Red, white, and blue day.
That was an emotional day. And it was the anniversary of the cadet. 125th anniversary of the cadet down at Texas A&M that day. And they had a cadet that had represented the country in every war from World War I on. Amazing.
Jermaine Phillips showing a little shake, but he's taken down by Glenn Robinson. We always have plenty of people to thank on Saturday. So many folks doing a great job downstairs. Led at the top by Bill Borson and the coordinating producers Roy Hamilton and Gary Garcia. Today's game has been produced by Bob Steinfeld and directed by Kenny Miller. Our senior vice president of field operations is Andrea Berry. Associate producer Daniel Ashcraft. Our statistician extraordinaire, Tim Simmons. We call him Blowfish.
My man.
Wagner gets to the 10-yard line. Our spotter, Chris Shaw.
How about that today? Blessed with Chris Shaw. And I'll tell you what, we had a team today that I'll put up against anybody.
Yep, our graphics coordinator, Eric Josephson.
Strong year for these guys, I'll tell you.
A marvelous job.
Yep. You know what? You're only as good as your weakest link, and we don't have a weak link. We are a strong chain link fence.
Well, you know, we give Bob Steinfeld a hard time, our producer.
Right, right. Well, that might be, no, I guess.
But is that our weak link?
Steiny's the man.
Oh, we had to humble Steiny today. Bob does a marvelous job every week.
Producer extraordinaire, as he'll tell you.
And whistles blow this one dead. 3rd and 9 at the 12-yard line. You know, for Iowa State, they have begun something under Dan McCarney. And Dan McCarney's still coaching, you know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just like Steiny. Steiny's always producing. Coach Mack's always coaching.
You bet. You know, I think it says something. When you can win 9 games, lose 15 starters, and come back and win maybe 7 games the next year. And who knows? If they beat Iowa, that's the 7th win. They go to a bowl game, they could win 8.
Right, right.
They beat Pitt last year.
First bowl win in school history.
Yep.
And he got it done.
Here's a big opening for a moment at least. And Wagner dropped by Banks-Floodman, and it'll bring up 4th down.
And Drew, the other thing is, you know, winning at home is one thing. Winning conference games at home, you like to defend your turf. But with this victory today, in the last 11 games now, they're 8-3 on the road. And when you look back into the 90s, they won 6 games, lost 43, and tied 1.
That's not good.
Now in the next, now these 11 road games, he's 8-3. When you go on the road and win, now you're proving that you've come a long way. Because winning at home is a challenge, but it's an easier challenge than doing it in the opponent's venue.
Love on the option to Wagner. He's got to get to the 2. He won't, and they'll turn it over on downs. You know, the next thing that has to happen for Iowa State is to maybe knock off one of those top 25 teams that you have to face in the Big 12. They came close this year against A&M. They lost 24-21. Outgained the Aggies. They were 0 for 4 in field goal attempts that day, and that really was the difference in the football game.
Exactly. I mean, the kicking game cost them that particular day. Haywood, they're now 12-0 when Enos Haywood rushes for 100 yards or more. They're 12-0. What's that in his back there? He's got a little extra protection.
I don't know, is that an ice pack?
You gotta hope something. I hope it's not a growth.
Tony Stubbs, redshirt freshman from Lake Worth, Florida, carrying the football. And again, next Saturday, Iowa State will be at home in Ames to take on the Hawkeyes. And that's always an emotional game in the Hawkeye State, and particularly so for Dan McCarney, having played and coached at the University of Iowa.
Well, that was the watershed game on the road. They beat Iowa at Iowa for their first road game, and they lost 31 straight on the road. They beat Iowa, and that got it started, and now they're a different road team.
Dave, you can't underestimate, can you, confidence?
You know, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Drew, and it's the body does great things when the mind lets it, and when you're confident and when you're sure of yourself, you can make great things happen physically.
Stubbs goes out. 35 seconds left. Kansas is not in a large hurry.
No.
They'll have 1 game left. Kansas will play Wyoming next Saturday right here in Lawrence. And then they will close the book on 2001. And next year they'll have a new coach, or it could be Tom Hayes. He is a candidate as well. Physical run by Dan Koch. Our Dr. Pepper player of the game, Ennis Haywood. 185 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns, now over 1,000 yards for the 2nd straight year. And the running back tradition of recent past continues at Iowa State.
Very, very powerful running back. A little bit of arm tackling going on today in the 2nd quarter that he took advantage of big time. Going to Liberty Bowl. Looks like they're going to Liberty Bowl to play LSU as Iowa State.
Could be. They improved to 6-4. Congratulations to Dan McCarney and the Iowa State football program. They rolled today over Kansas 49-7. Well, we hope you enjoyed it. Next week, our syndicated game, Iowa and Iowa State from Ames. Now for our entire crew and my partners Dave Lapham and Jim Knox, I'm Drew Goodman saying so long from Memorial Stadium in Lawrence. 49-7, the Cyclones over the Jayhawks. Have a great weekend, everybody.